Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha Massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing. How many loose cultivators could afford them? This wasn't a breakthrough method impoverished loose cultivators could use. One could only rely on oneself and attempt to force a breakthrough. Do you have any vein protecting pills? The vein protecting pill was specifically used to safeguard the meridians. Most cultivators attempting to break through bottlenecks would prepare one. Without vein protecting pills, forcing a breakthrough, even if successful, could leave unimaginable hidden dangers. 50 spirit stones. The price wasn't cheap. Any elixirs related to breaking bottlenecks were outrageously expensive. 2 vein protecting pills. He didn't want a forced breakthrough to impact his future great Tao. He decisively bought an extra one, to be taken in case of emergencies. After promptly paying 100 spirit stones, Jia Ren returned to his rented cave with the elixirs. Should I try to force a breakthrough and see if I succeed? The probability of success with a forced breakthrough wasn't high, and failure meant being unable to attempt another breakthrough for a long time. Let's begin. Jia Ren first took 1 vein protecting pill, feeling its medicinal power dissolve, a cool energy traveling through his meridians. In a state of naishi, he could see a layer of white light enveloping his meridians, protecting them. The adverse effects on his meridians from previously taking the Great Origin pill were also slowly soothed by this cool energy. Should I play it extra safe? After a moment of hesitation, Jia Ren took the 2nd vein protecting pill. Safety first. With 2 vein protecting pills, surely nothing would go wrong. Help me break through. Jia Ren took out 1 Great Origin pill and 3 Spirit Bud elixirs, and swallowed them all without hesitation. A torrent of spiritual power, far more violent than he had ever imagined, surged through his limbs and bones. Protected by the 2 vein protecting pills, he felt no discomfort whatsoever, remaining as steady as Mount Tai. Jia Ren calmed his chi and focused his mind, circulating the turtle spirit technique. The rich tortoise spirit energy within him, dense as mist, carried the medicinal power, continuously transforming into potent spiritual power. Like a trickling stream gradually swelling into a surging torrent, it assaulted the bottleneck of the late-stage chi refining. The invisible bottleneck, under this onslaught, started to show thin cracks. Boom. His mind roared, and he was momentarily dazed. The bottleneck that had hindered him for so long shattered with a roar, like a dam bursting. Jia Ren felt his consciousness clarify, as if something within him had vigorously grown. His spiritual sense strengthened, his perception range expanded, his internal spiritual power doubled compared to the 6th layer of chi refinement, and the number of spells he could cast daily increased. From this day forward, he could ride his sword to fly, traversing the azure nether. With a thought, Jia Ren's proficiency panel emerged. Name, Jia Ren. Lifespan, 31 out of 138, Realm, Chi Refinement 7th level, 1 out of 700, Cultivation Technique, Turtle Spirit Technique 7th layer, 1 out of 700, Wind Control Skill, Transcendence into Sainthood, 513 out of 6400, Fireball Technique, Grandmaster, 866 out of 1600, Spirit Eye Technique, Great Grandmaster, 539 out of 3200, Spirit Shield, Great Grandmaster, 317 out of 3200, Sunlocking Technique, Proficient, 196 out of 400, Return to Origin Sword Chi, Skilled, 148 out of 200, Gather Water Spell, Skilled, 21 out of 200, Tempting Bait, Fish, Grandmaster, Limit, plus, Insect Control Technique, Spirit, Grandmaster, Limit 2, plus, Insect Commanding Technique, Contract Spirit Seal, Master, 105 out of 800, Metal Finger Technique, Great Grandmaster, Limit 2, plus, Turtle Breath Technique, Great Grandmaster, Limit 2, plus, Turtle Prime Spirit Armor, Great Grandmaster, 1223 out of 3200, Seeking Demon Talisman Technique, Master, 21 out of 400, Sound Transmission Technique, Skilled, 68 out of 200, Skill Breaking Point, 3.525, Chapter 68, A Nest of Snakes and Rats Chi Refinement 7th level, the Great Tao is within reach. Jia Ren felt elated. His cultivation level had reached the late stage chi refining, and from then on, his status was no longer the same as before. Reaching the late-stage chi refining was the watershed determining entry into the inner city. With permanent residence qualification in the inner city, one no longer needed to pay an entrance fee. In terms of safety, the inner city was much safer than the outer city. It's time to cultivate the Thousand Delusion Face technique and the mixed primordial Vajra body. Jia Ren picked up the newly obtained secret techniques and started to ponder over them in detail. The first was the Thousand Delusion Face technique, which was the primary secret technique for initial cultivation. Once mastered, the Thousand Delusion Face technique allowed one to change their appearance and aura, making it difficult for enemies to discover them. This supplemented his means of avoiding danger. If there were any problems with his identity, he could also don a new guise. Jia Ren spent most of the remaining time stabilizing his cultivation level. After that, he focused on cultivating the Thousand Delusion Face technique and crafting demon spotting talismans. Using his spare time when spiritual power was exhausted, he referred to notes on cultivating the mixed refining Vajra body to eliminate the dross and extract the essence. This was the process of restoring the mixed refining Vajra body. For 5 consecutive days, Jia Ren never left his cave. As he activated the Thousand Delusion Face technique, his gaze fell on the mirror within the cave. His face was as malleable as putty, highly pliable. A slight pinch and twist allowed him to see the direct changes in his appearance. It was much like the character customization at the beginning of a video game. The difference was that the former was done through a screen, while the latter was an actual operation on a real person. The proficiency level of the Thousand Delusion Face technique rose quickly. In a short time, it reached the skilled level. He could change his appearance and stature, and his aura could be slightly altered, making the disguise quite effective. The mixed refining Vajra body was successfully purified, and the proficiency panel was now loaded. The deductions of the past few days were not in vain. Unlike other secret techniques, the mixed refining Vajra body came from the 5 Elements sect and could not be exposed to outsiders. Otherwise, not only would he find himself in trouble, but Yang Bingzi would also be implicated. As a body refining technique, the mixed refining Vajra body differed from chi refining cultivation techniques, mainly enhancing the physique and requiring a medicinal bath to begin cultivating it. He could not buy the related body refinement materials publicly, lest he attract unwanted attention. The next time he met Yang Bingzi, he would ask him to purchase the items on his behalf. Is Taoist friend inside? Do you wish to extend the rental? The voice of the steward came from outside the cave, and Jia Ren realized that 7 days had passed. Just as he was about to open the door, he turned his head, thinking of something. He used the Thousand Delusion Face technique and the Turtle Breath technique to adjust the fluctuations in spiritual power and his aura, controlling it to the 6th layer of chi refinement. My breakthrough failed. I will not extend the rental. Jia Ren opened the door of the cave and handed over the token that controlled the cave's formation. Leave within half an hour. After the cave-dwelling manager spoke, he turned and walked away. Jia Ren returned to the insect breeding room, looking at the lively exotic black mosquitoes, which were not far from maturity. Strong in battle, 100 exotic black mosquitoes could easily take on a chi refinement 7th level cultivator. Not far away, the green silkworms had transformed from their egg state to the size of a fingernail. They were eating spirit mulberry leaves and spinning strands of green silk. Having learned the name of the spirit insect, Jia Ren spent half a day and finally found records about the green silkworms in an ancient book. The green silkworm was a rare type of worm. The silk they spun was a high-quality material for making robes, offering good defense. He could make at least several dozen spirit stones a year just from the silk produced by 3 green silkworms. Once it can be cultivated on a large scale, the value would not be low. If the family learns about the 3 green silkworms, they would definitely be willing to pay a high price to buy them as seed worms. To think I could get green silkworms for 1 spirit stone, I never expected to have my day of good fortune. Jia Ren placed the spirit insects into the spirit beast bag, turned around, and left. Wang Deu, we've received a report that you are a bizarre cultivator. The Great Wilderness Cave Abode refuses to assist you. Please leave immediately. From a nearby cave, the voice of the steward echoed. Was Wang Qian a bizarre cultivator? Most loose cultivators were poor. Disciples from sects and clans were powerful, and lower-level loose cultivators lacked the ability to challenge those above their station. How many lower-level loose cultivators would Wang Qian have to kill to amass wealth of over 1,000 spirit stones? The report was fake. The real intention was to use it as an excuse to force him to leave. Even the boldest cave-dwelling manager wouldn't dare to kill someone inside the cave. Destroying the reputation of the Great Wilderness Cave Abode would cost more than 100 such heads. If someone died outside the cave, wouldn't that mean it would have no connection to the Great Wilderness Cave Abode anymore? I am not a bizarre cultivator. Who is spreading such nonsense? Wang Qian was both shocked and angry. He had been hiding in his cave for 7 days, completely secure. His storage bag contained enough elixirs and spirit stones to last a year. He planned to use this peaceful time to enhance his strength and break through to the next cultivation realm. Planning to ambush and kill me? Let's see who can outlast whom. His idea was sound, but it didn't take accidents into account. The steward's words struck like a bolt from the blue, rendering him unable to accept the reality. Please give me a chance. Wang Qian put on an ingratiating expression as he handed over 50 spirit stones. The steward took them with ease, his face sporting a smile as he said, I really am powerless in this matter. Wang Qian's complexion turned unsightly. Did he just accept the bribe without helping? Before Wang Qian could explode in anger, the steward turned and left. Jia Ren looked off into the distance and spotted some familiar faces from 5 days ago, each with a beaming smile. They had long received intelligence and were quietly waiting for the fat sheep to leave. Seeking help? No matter how many spirit stones you offer, it's not as profitable as stripping you of everything alive. They desired all the spirit stones on your person. Even the source of your spirit stones. With no protection from the cave, should someone desire your wealth and your life, even the inner city couldn't ensure your safety. Wang Qian wasn't stupid, he understood his predicament. Seeing Jia Ren just leaving his cave, he hastily sent a pleading look his way. Taoist Jia, please save me. Jia Ren was speechless for a moment before replying indifferently. Wealth is the root of all troubles. If you gift it away, won't the problems be gone? Be smarter next time and don't flaunt your wealth. If you're not willing to let go of material possessions, you can't protect yourself completely. That is the sorrow of the weak. Being poor is the norm. Most loose cultivators who suddenly come into wealth can't hold on to it either. After a moment's hesitation, Wang Qian asked, could you take my storage bag and return it to me later? He still wanted to save some spirit stones by having Jia Ren transfer it. I will surely reward you handsomely afterward. Even if he couldn't get back the storage bag, entrusting it to Jia Ren was far better than letting the wicked bazaar cultivators have it cheaply. Without having obtained the 1000 delusion face technique, Jia Ren would have definitely refused. Now, he wanted to test if the disguise effect of the 1000 delusion face could deceive everyone. If things went south, his transcendence into sainthood level wind control skill would make escape a non-issue. Shake them off, and at the corner, toss the storage bag to me. Taking Wang Qian's storage bag in front of the bazaar cultivators would only transfer the trouble to himself, so Jia Ren thought of a compromise. Don't be greedy. Leave behind anything that might give you away, or you'll never stop having problems. Having given his instructions, Jia Ren turned and walked away. As soon as Wang Qian saw Jia Ren leaving, he quickly followed. 3 cultivators who had their eyes on Wang Qian tailed him like shadows. When Jia Ren reached the corner, and seeing no one was around, his face rippled and changed like the surface of water. The skilled level 1000 delusion face technique didn't require sculpting the face on the spot. Remembering a previously crafted visage, he could change his appearance in a blink. He donned a new Taoist robe, adding another detail to his disguise. As Wang Qian arrived at the corner, he jumped at the sight of a stranger's extended hand. Only when Jia Ren's voice transmitted into his ear did he allow the stranger, who was actually Jia Ren, to take his storage bag. The series of actions was swift and occurred in the blind spot of the 3 cultivators, going unnoticed. Jia Ren took the storage bag and left, embodying the finesse of a pickpocket. Do you think you can escape? If you follow us obediently, you can avoid suffering. The 3 loose cultivators were like tarsal maggots, forming a triangle to enclose Wang Qian. Wang Qian had thought to take the chance to flee, but alas, the 3 men were far quicker than him. Wang Qian was about to remove another storage bag, as well as the robe and magic artifacts he wore, to ward off disaster with wealth. At that moment, a cultivator wearing the law enforcement office robe soared by on his sword. Wang Qian's eyes lit up as if he had seen a savior and he called out loudly. They want to rob my storage bag, please, Enforcement Division cultivator, help me. The Enforcement Division cultivator paused his sword flight and upon seeing Wang Qian, was slightly taken aback, a playful smile appearing on his face. You have quite the nerve. Come with me to the law enforcement office. Seeing the newcomer, Jia Ren felt extremely fortunate that he had changed his appearance. Qi Yulong. He had become an inner sect disciple of the 5 Elements sect, and a member of the Inner City's Enforcement Division. Chapter 69, The New Vest seek help from Enforcement Division cultivators? With their nature of plucking a feather from each passing goose, it'd be odd not to get skinned entering there. The other Enforcement Division cultivators might be alright, and there might still be a chance to leave safely. But falling into the hands of Qi Yulong, it might be better to fall into the hands of a bazaar cultivator than him. First, I'll apply for the inner city residence permit. Having reached the Qi refinement 7th level, the first thing Jia Ren wanted to do was move into the inner city and obtain the right to reside there. Ever since meeting Qi Yulong, He dared not stay under his true identity. The Enforcement Division cultivators wielded significant power. The moment they knew his identity, given Qi Yulong's vindictive nature, trouble would begin. One can only be a thief for so long. There's no such thing as guarding against a thief forever. Don a disguise to stay in the inner city. The troubles that might be brought by Jia Ren's true identity could thus be dissolved into invisibility. The idea of a new disguise had already formed while he was at his cave. He deliberately hid his cultivation level at the 6th layer of Qi refinement, while his disguise was at the 7th level. One, at the 6th layer of Qi refinement, mixed in the outer city. The other, at the 7th level, resided in the inner city. They were like people from two different worlds, never intersecting, making it difficult to connect them. Having left the inner city, he handed over his inner city token. Jia Ren found a secluded and uninhabited corner in the outer city to change his appearance. His bones cracked as his figure gradually grew taller, and his face remarkably transformed into that of a stern, cold man. He slightly adjusted the aura of the Thousand Fantasies face and released the spiritual power fluctuation of the turtle breath technique. He changed his robe, from head to toe, everything was completely new. A tall, stern, and cold man appeared. His aura was gloomy, giving off the impression of being difficult to approach. The new disguise meant fewer interactions with outsiders, reducing the chance of exposure. After everything was done, Jia Ren headed back to the inner city. I want to reside in the inner city. The guards treated someone at the Qi refinement 7th level much better, without their previous arrogance, and led him to the inner city residence registration point. Fellow Taoist, your name and identity, plus a fee of 5 spirit stones for the creation, and we will make you a specialized inner city token. Zhen Yi, loose cultivator. Jia Ren was clear on the inner city's rules, and he promptly paid the 5 spirit stones. They said it was custom making, but it was actually just taking an unassigned inner city token, infusing Jia Ren's aura into it, and then sending the corresponding aura into the inner city formation. Congratulations, fellow Taoist, on becoming a member of the inner city. Do you need information on renting a stone house? They had long formed a fixed interest chain. Every loose cultivator renting would do so through their introduction to the inner city stone houses. The price was not cheap. Jia Ren couldn't be bothered to waste more time and readily agreed. A broker led Jia Ren to select a residence in the inner city. Smoky Willow Lane stone houses are cheap and very close to Cloud Attire Pavilion, and many female cultivators in the alley leave their doors half open. Their looks and temperament are incomparable to those in the outer city. If fellow Taoist is interested, you might choose this place. Black Street Lane is mixed with all sorts of loose cultivators, including many who hunt demons. You could find peers to exchange knowledge with. Heavenly Arts Lane has a better environment, mostly inhabited by cultivators with cultivation techniques and their family members, but the rent is not cheap. Heavenly Arts Lane it is. Compared to other lanes, Heavenly Arts Lane was more to his liking, and who knows, he might even be able to find new inheritances of cultivation techniques. The rent was 4 spirit stones a month, not cheap. Switching to the cheapest, Smoky Willow Lane and Black Street Lane, 3 spirit stones a month would suffice. There were advantages, though. The main path was paved with bluestone slabs, and the cleanliness and hygiene were far superior to other places. After settling down, Jia Ren realized he had fallen into quite a pit. Does fellow Taoist possess cultivation techniques, and are you taking disciples? Not long after Jia Ren arrived, quite a few loose cultivators shamelessly visited. The vast majority were inquiring and seeking to become apprentices, with many cultivators harboring the idea of learning cultivation techniques. This was knowledge that could be passed down to descendants, and with generations of inheritance, a family clan might develop in the future. Unfortunately, not many loose cultivators truly mastered cultivation techniques. Valuable teachings were not imparted lightly. Without demonstrating any cultivation techniques, even if there were circles, you couldn't squeeze into them. Jia Ren cleaned the stone house from top to bottom and settled down. With a flip of his palm, Wang Qian's storage bag was taken out. The interior was plump, nearly filled within the 10 directions storage bag, containing no small number of items. After hesitating for a moment, Jia Ren did not open it. He feared that upon seeing the riches inside, he couldn't suppress the greed that would arise. Sometimes, good and evil are but a thought apart. Now that I have a new residence, I should set up a guardian formation. The cost is not cheap. Jia Ren still had over 200 spirit stones in hand. This was not an insignificant amount to an average loose cultivator, yet to think of purchasing a formation. He walked out of the formation instrument shop. The price was indeed steep. To lay out a spirit gathering array cost 300 spirit stones, and to install it within the inner city, one also had to pay the inner city an extra monthly fee in spirit stones. There were many types of guardian formations. The maze formation was the cheapest, only capable of confusing mortals. The spirit high technique could easily see through it, Yet even this cost 50 spirit stones. Besides hiring a formation master, there were also simplified array plates. Their power was reduced, but they were convenient to carry, and most loose cultivators could set them up using the accompanying guide. The primordial maze formation cost 300 spirit stones. The impregnable formation cost 500 spirit stones. The jade light of Clearwater formation cost 1,000 spirit stones. The Vedra subduing demon formation started at 2,000 spirit stones. Too expensive. Formations were indeed not something the average cultivator could afford. Loose cultivators could only weep at the thought. Wang Qian hasn't come out yet. Wearing a disguised face and aura, Jia Ren walked on the streets of the inner city, looking toward the direction of the law enforcement office from afar. Luckily, he saw the 3 bizarre cultivators who had threatened Wang Qian leave, each with an unpleasant expression. Their shriveled storage bags testified to their encounter. Only Wang Qian was nowhere to be seen for a long time. Could he have gotten into trouble? Just as Jia Ren was about to leave, he finally saw Wang Qian. Gone were his magic artifact and Taoist robe, even his storage bag had vanished without a trace. Compared to the 3 bizarre cultivators, his situation was even more dire. The enforcement division really devoured people without spitting out the bones. Qi Yulong hadn't made things difficult for him? Surprising. Wang Qian took out a sound transmission talisman, about to contact Jia Ren, when Jia Ren's voice suddenly reached him. Wang Deu, let's talk after you leave the inner city. Recognizing Jia Ren's voice, Wang Qian quickly left the inner city. Jia Ren had left a step earlier. He shifted his appearance and aura back to his original form, and also changed his spiritual power and aura fluctuations back to the 6th layer of Qi refinement. His new identity had to be completely separated from his Jia Ren persona, no one else could know, ensuring his safety. This is your storage bag. Jia Ren found a secluded place and tossed Wang Qian's storage bag over to him. Thank you, Taoist Jia. Wang Qian caught the storage bag. He reached into it, and a look of surprise flashed across his eyes. He had been cautious, leaving a secret restriction inside the storage bag. Besides his own spiritual sense, if anyone else used the storage bag, the secret restriction would be destroyed. From beginning to end, Jia Ren had never opened the storage bag. Such character was admirable, truly a rarity in the cultivation world. Thinking that developing the site alone was too inefficient, he indeed needed a helping hand. Taoist Jia, my invitation to you is sincere. Please consider it again. Wang Qian said earnestly, continuing to persuade him. Cultivator. The scale of the cave is not small, from then on, you won't have to worry about spirit stones. Jia Ren's face showed a pensive expression. The cave was real, but he wouldn't venture into the depths of the great wilderness to risk his life. I have an acquaintance I'm quite close with. If Wang Deu needs, I can introduce him to you. He wouldn't go himself, but he could pass it to Yang Shengwu and take a cut afterward. Yang Shengwu was trapped in the quagmire of troubles with the Talisman Cultivators Association, with no spirit stones to be earned. He could remain a safe middleman, avoiding risks and still reaping benefits. Wang Qian refused decisively, stating solemnly, I only trust Taoist Jia. If you change your mind, remember to find me. The interests involved were too great. If Jia Ren's character hadn't been tested over time and proven trustworthy, Wang Qian would never have extended the invitation twice. By the way, I haven't yet thanked you, fellow Taoist, for your assistance. 500 spirit stones, please be sure to accept them. Chapter 70, Protection Fee. A reward of 500 spirit stones? Jia Ren was stunned by Wang Qian's generosity. His willingness to offer 500 spirit stones as thanks implied that the treasures in the storage bag were even more valuable, at least 2 to 3 times the reward, perhaps even more. Even after the law enforcement office confiscated magic artifacts worth several hundred spirit stones, there might still be 1 to 2,000 spirit stones worth of resources remaining. The potential haul, just from what was apparent, was enough to make one envious. This indicated that the cave Wang Qian discovered was no ordinary place. It likely belonged to a Foundation establishment cultivator. Previously, Jia Ren certainly would have declined the 500 spirit stones. But thinking of the price of a formation, he felt the pinch in his finances. The demon spotting talisman business was suppressed, leaving him without a stable source of spirit stones, making it very difficult to purchase a formation anytime soon. Not to mention, his future cultivation would require a substantial amount of spirit stones. Have you heard any news about Feng Wu lately? Seeing Qi Yulong again inevitably made Jia Ren think of Feng Wu. Wang Qian roared with laughter upon hearing this. I forgot to tell you. I just received news that Feng Wu is dead. What goes around comes around, retribution is certain. You have no idea that the person you just met is the true mastermind. Let me give you a word of warning, Be cautious around the Enforcement Division cultivator you encountered today. Perhaps you haven't seen him before. This person rarely appears at the northern city's underground market, but he was always inseparable from Feng Wu. Jia Ren hesitated for a moment but decided to offer the caution anyway. Is that really true? Wang Qian was visibly shaken. He wasn't a fool and understood the implication behind Jia Ren's words. Why would a loose cultivator hiding in the outer city suddenly become a cultivator of the Five Elements Sex Law Enforcement Office? Such a leap in status was immense, far beyond what an ordinary person could achieve. Unless he had been a Five Elements sect disciple all along. In that case, this person must be the real mastermind who turned him into cannon fodder, and Feng Wu was merely a scapegoat. If anyone else had said this, Wang Qian would surely have doubted it. But Jia Ren's character was trustworthy, and he had no reason to deceive him. Thank you for the warning, Taoist Jia. I will be careful. Wang Qian's elation from avenging his great wrong vanished, replaced by a heavy heart. He departed quickly. Wang Qian has had some good fortune. If he settles down and consolidates his strength, his progress won't be slow. In the future, he might even cause Qi Yulong some trouble. Jia Ren had never given up on the idea of dealing with Qi Yulong. He hadn't warned Wang Qian before because Wang Qian lacked the capability. Now, he didn't mind having an extra ally. With enough spirit stones, I can buy a defensive formation. Clutching the newly acquired spirit stones, Jia Ren felt a surge of excitement. 500 spirit stones were just enough to buy an impenetrable defense formation plate. With a defensive formation guarding his home, he wouldn't have to worry about cultivators forcing their way in or thieves paying a visit. This matter can wait a bit. Since he was already in the outer city, he decided to visit Yangshengwu first. 7 days ago, when the Talisman Cultivators Association had come looking for trouble, Jia Ren had specifically sent a sound transmission talisman to inform Yangshengwu, but he hadn't heard back since. He was still somewhat concerned. The sound transmission talisman flew out, and a response quickly came. I happen to have something I need to discuss with you in detail. Following the directions, Jia Ren arrived at the Northern District. Only a few days had passed, yet the Northern District was even more chaotic than before. Though it was still early in the day, he saw several fights already underway. The combatants were quite restrained, not using spells, so they naturally wouldn't attract the Enforcement Division cultivators. Friend, the Northern District belongs to the Changla gang. You need to pay your protection fee. You might be safe during the day, but what about at night? The Changla gang has plenty of ways to deal with you. Are you sure you want to experience them? Just obediently pay 1 spirit stone for your safety. There's no need to ask for trouble. They went door to door, forcibly collecting a monthly protection fee of 1 spirit stone. Refuse to pay? The Changla gang would take action, starting with a beating as a warning. Still refuse? Then they would break down your door at night. Such chaos. Where did the Five Elements sect even find these loose cultivators? They've turned the outer city into a complete mess. Even mortal gang tactics are being used on cultivators now. Are you also a loose cultivator from the Northern District? Have you paid the protection fee? A brutish-looking loose cultivator eyed Jia Ren, intending to extort a protection fee from him. Are you tired of living? Our apologies. His companion quickly pulled him back, a forced smile on his face. The spiritual energy in the inner city was much denser than in the outer city, and it was also safer. No late-stage chi refining loose cultivator would choose to stay in the outer city. The strength Jia Ren displayed was considerable in the outer city. One would have to be utterly blind to think of extorting a protection fee from him. Taoist, would you be interested in joining the Changla gang? The terms are generous, 5 spirit stones a month, plus additional elixirs. If the Changla gang gained another 6th layer of chi refinement cultivator, their strength would increase significantly. Jia Ren had no interest in the Changla gang. For some reason, he felt like someone was sizing him up. A skinny loose cultivator, noticing Jia Ren's gaze, flashed a fawning smile. What does the Changla gang rely on for income? Surely not just protection fees? The name Changla gang, Everlasting Joy Gang, always sparked certain thoughts. He couldn't help but recall the bliss pill and ascension pill he had obtained from a female cultivator half a month ago, and a suspicion formed in his mind. Collecting protection fees from loose cultivators in the outer city, and selling bliss pills, ascension pills, and longevity pills. Just as I expected. So, the female cultivator who tried to control me with forbidden pills and charm techniques, offering herself along with bliss pills, was from the Changla gang? Jia Ren's already low opinion of the Changla gang plummeted. What experts does the Changla gang have? Gathering more intelligence is crucial, knowing yourself and your enemy is the key to victory. 1 at the 7th layer of chi refinement, 2 at the 6th layer. The gang boasts numerous masters. The man, assuming Jia Ren was considering joining, answered truthfully. Masters. As one's strength changes, so does one's perspective. Since when did a 7th layer of chi refinement cultivator qualify as a master? It felt as if in a world without heroes, even the mediocre could become renowned. The Changla Gang's strength wasn't formidable. Their most prominent figure, who was at the same realm as him, was rather lacking. The Changla Gang has bright prospects, far beyond what other gangs can compare to. The Changla Gang needs masters like you to join us and achieve great things together. In the future, the Changla Gang could even develop into a great sect, and our descendants would be noble sect disciples. The Changla Gang leader is quite skilled at brainwashing. This fellow looks like he's on an adrenaline rush, his face fervent. I have no interest in joining the Changla Gang. He was acting like a user, gathering intelligence and then promptly dismissing them. Jia Ren yearned for the great Tao. He had no mood to play these mortal gang dramas with the Changla Gang. Leaving the area, he didn't enter Yang Shengwu's stone house. Instead, he went into another deserted stone house and communicated remotely using the sound transmission technique. He wasn't sure if there were any spies from the Talisman Cultivators Association nearby. It was best not to let anyone discover the connection between him and Yang Shengwu, to avoid unnecessary trouble. Brother Jia, you truly are meticulous. Thanks to your reminder, otherwise, the Talisman Cultivators Association would have come knocking again. Mentioning the Talisman Cultivators Association, Yang Shengwu's voice was tinged with resentment. If the demon-spotting talisman business did well, his life in the inner city would also improve. Who would have thought the Talisman Cultivators Association would resort to such vicious competition, using such underhanded tactics? I recently joined a gang and used loose cultivators to gather a lot of useful intelligence. The head of the Talisman Cultivators Association manages the Heavenly Talisman Shop and is a 9th level of chi refinement cultivator. It's rumored he comes from a prominent family, and his paternal uncle is a Foundation establishment elder in the 5 Elements Sect's Talisman Hall. Leveraging the power of this 5 Elements Sect Foundation establishment elder, he has monopolized the talisman business in the inner city. All shops and loose cultivators dealing with talismans in the inner city have to pay him tribute. The usual cut is 10%. So why does it jump to 30% for us? This is outrageous bullying. The Talisman Cultivators Association. We can't afford to provoke them. Never mind the 9th level of chi refinement cultivator, with a 5 Elements Sect Foundation establishment elder backing him, he's a behemoth. You should hold on to the spirit stones from the demon-spotting talisman sales for now. Wait until next year when the spirit rice is harvested, and the prices of monster beast meat and demon-spotting talismans drop, then you can sell them. Before the war between the sects, demon-spotting talismans were sold in shops for 1 spirit stone and 5 broken spirits. Since spirit rice became scarce, capitalizing on the surge in monster beast meat prices, the price of demon-spotting talismans doubled, allowing the Heavenly Talisman Shop to profit immensely. Even with the doubled price, many cultivators still purchased them. Having tasted such sweet and exorbitant profits, the Heavenly Talisman Shop naturally wanted to maintain these high prices indefinitely. They had cultivated this profitable market, like a well-stocked fish pond, and certainly wouldn't want anyone else fishing in it, much less someone driving down the price of demon-spotting talismans. This was also why the Talisman Cultivators Association reacted so fiercely to anyone selling demon-spotting talismans at a low price. Unless the price of demon-spotting talismans returned to normal and profits decreased, the Heavenly Talisman Shop and the Talisman Cultivators Association it supported would show no mercy to anyone daring to sell them on the market. Chapter 71, Borrow a Knife to Kill People. I won't take the spirit stones. The faction I join gives 10 a month, plus an extra elixir allowance. It's safe and worry-free. I'm thinking of turning the Demon Spawn Talisman into a faction benefit and selling it within the faction for 1 spirit stone. That way, fewer cultivators will buy them, and the risk will also be lower. Yang Shengwu hid in the outer city and, after being recruited, joined the faction. Even so, he still hadn't forgotten to sell the Demon Spawn Talisman. Factions are just a game for mortals. Cultivators have more mature sects, and if a faction grows too large, it digs at the roots of the 5 Elements sect. Who knows how many years a faction can last? By comparison, the Demon Spawn Talisman is a long-term business. Without the Talisman Cultivators Association to suppress them, the income potential was higher, and it was safer too. A faction? It's just small-time play after all. Your faction isn't Changla Gang, is it? Yang Shengwu replied. You really can't hide anything from Brother Jia. Indeed, it is Changla Gang. Changla Gang has a master at the Chi Refinement 7th level. Unexpectedly, this person was Yang Shengwu. Forbidden pills are a hidden danger, don't draw fire onto yourself. No matter which power it is, they will suppress forbidden pills. Once too many loose cultivators take them, chaos is bound to ensue. Why hasn't the law enforcement office made a move? Jia Ren, who had seen too many shearing the sheep schemes in his previous life, understood their mindset. Of course, you fatten the pig before slaughtering it. If you suppress Changliang now and remove the hidden danger, what can you get? Reputation? Stability in the outer city? The law enforcement office doesn't care. Their reputation is already notorious. To sit by and watch Changliang grow, gaining plenty of spirit stones, wouldn't it be better to slaughter the fattened pig then? They would gain reputation and make a profit in spirit stones as well. Especially the latter, that's what they truly seek. Jia Ren explained the situation to prevent Yang Shengwu from getting in too deep. What followed was a long silence. After a moment, Yang Shengwu responded. I will leave Changliang tomorrow. Good that he took the advice. Jia Ren left the stone house and noticed someone observing from a distance. The Talisman Cultivators Association? Watching Yang Shengwu? Or me? Jia Ren soon had his answer. Before he had gone even 100 feet, the person followed him quickly. Fellow Taoist, please wait. The person approaching had reddened eyes and clearly was not in a normal mental state. Could it be that he's taken too many ascension pills or bliss pills? Forbidden pills really are harmful. Fellow Taoist, please wait is never a good sign. It brings to mind a certain jinx. Definitely not good. Jia Ren didn't want to deal with someone high on ascension pills, so he decisively fled. You. Just as the person was about to use the wind control skill to chase him, he froze on the spot. Jia Ren's figure was already out of sight. Too fast. It's over, the plan is no use now. He had thought the opportunity to take revenge for Rouge had arrived, but Jia Ren fled immediately. The follow-up plan ended in failure before it even began. How was he supposed to get revenge now? He hurried away without noticing that an exotic black mosquito quietly followed behind him. Changliang, huh? The now vanished Jia Ren reappeared in the shadow of the stone house, staring at the departing figure. Perhaps due to his advancement in realm, his mindset had changed significantly compared to before. If someone meant to harm him, he believed it was always best to find the source of the problem, not just wait for trouble to arrive. If he had the strength to solve it, he wouldn't mind nipping the danger in the bud. Under the Thousand Delusion Face technique, Jia Ren's appearance underwent a transformation. He was 3 inches shorter, his hair half black and half white, and his figure lean and wiry, with exotic black mosquitoes swirling around him. His disguised aura was so lifelike, it showed considerable skill. The Mosquito Taoist. That's right, Jia Ren was disguised as the Mosquito Taoist. He shouldn't personally handle dangerous affairs. If real trouble arose, the Mosquito Taoist could take the blame. After completing everything, Jia Ren quickly followed. Gang leader, there's been a problem. The plan has failed. It was a large, modified stone house, at least 3 times the size of a regular one. Inside the stone house were 5 chairs, each occupied by the most influential people of Changliang. Changliang leader Zhu Zizi sat imposingly on a main seat, his face expressionless as he looked at the loose cultivator kneeling before him. I've put no small amount of effort into this matter. If the plan had succeeded, even those at the late stage chi refining would be guaranteed a burial-less death. You're not having second thoughts, are you? Or do you no longer wish to take revenge for Rouge? Zhu Zizi stood up, his eyes fierce as he looked down on the kneeling loose cultivator. The loose cultivator's face was unnaturally flushed, a side effect of consuming too many ascension pills. Changliang has treated me well, and there's been an unlimited supply of bliss pills and ascension pills. How could I forget such great kindness? This person is far too cunning. I called out to him, but he didn't stop. Even if I had used the blood-burning technique on the spot, I couldn't have touched a hair on him. Not to mention, the plan to frame him as a demon cultivator by attacking when an opportunity presented itself and thereby use the authorities to kill him was now useless. Rouge had been gone for a long time. She must have died at the hands of the loose cultivator surnamed Jia. Jia Ren was as elusive as a ghost, his movements unpredictable, leaving Changliang without recourse. If rival gangs learned of this, they could use it to damage Changliang's morale. Until today, when Jia Ren was discovered by accident, and the message was sent to Changliang. As a leading figure and veteran of Changliang, Rouge had numerous paramours and die-hard loyalists. Her death was keenly felt. Over the past half-month, many gang members had still been searching for the murderer. For the stability and morale of Changliang, this threat had to be eliminated. Kill Jia Ren? It would not be easy for Changliang to accomplish this. There was only one expert in the gang capable of killing Jia Ren, and he wasn't necessarily someone they could command. If open confrontation wouldn't work, they would resort to underhanded tactics. Changliang had no shortage of individuals whose minds had been addled by ascension pills, so it wasn't hard to find one of Rouge's admirers. Using a vicious blood-burning technique, the practitioner would self-destruct on the spot. Anyone who came into contact with even a trace of the resulting blood would be tainted by blood demon chi. Then, the loose cultivator's surname Jia would be branded a demon cultivator. The law enforcement office was always ruthless towards demon cultivators. Regardless of the truth, the loose cultivator's surname Jia would be as good as dead. The plan was sound, but they hadn't expected it to fail at the very first step. The target fled too fast to pursue. Jia Ren had already reached the roof of the stone house, his aura concealed like a stone, undetectable by anyone present. Such a vicious scheme. To frame me as a demon cultivator and use the law enforcement office to kill me? The law enforcement office wouldn't bother distinguishing truth from falsehood. Killing a demon cultivator earns merit, so even a falsely accused one would be treated as a true demon cultivator. Even if I avoided the law enforcement office, I'd still be tormented by the blood demon chi. That poisonous blood demon chi pollutes spiritual power, and with no known cure, my cultivation level would decline. I might truly become a demon cultivator. If I hadn't been vigilant, trouble would have already found me. Since you're seeking death yourselves, don't blame me for being ruthless. Rouge was a great contributor to Changla Gang. We cannot let her die unavenged. Please, honored guest cultivator, take action. We cannot allow this person to live. We can't let this fellow take 10 spirit stones a month for doing nothing. Changla Gang wasn't ruled solely by Zhu Zizi's word. Most of the elders present had been won over by Rouge's seductive arts and had engaged in frequent dual cultivation with her. With a flower like Beauty Rouge dead, they harbored a bone-deep hatred for Jia Ren and didn't mind paying any price to eliminate the murderer. Coincidentally, I have matters to discuss with you as well. Just as Jia Ren was about to make his move, Yang Shengwu arrived from outside the house. Chapter 72, Framing and Entrapment. Yang Keqing, we were just looking for you. You've been doing well in Changla Gang, enjoying its salary. You should bear its worries as well. Yang Shengwu didn't listen, interrupting. I will leave Changla Gang. What Jia Ren said made sense. Changla Gang had serious hidden dangers. He didn't want to deal with the Talisman Cultivators Association's problems only to draw the law enforcement office's attention. This was far beyond the trouble a loose cultivator could handle. Worst comes to worst, he could fall back on his old profession and continue hunting demons. Leave Changla Gang? That's out of the question. Patron Yang, you've taken the benefits of Changla Gang and done nothing. You can't just think of running away at the first sign of trouble. Zhu Zizi and the other Changla Gang leaders were no longer composed, jumping with agitation. Although Yang Shengwu had never made a move since joining Changla Gang, his presence as a Qi Refinement 7th level master had rapidly boosted the gang's development, and more people were joining. Without this trump card, Changla Gang would lack a significant advantage over other gangs. Yang Shengwu could leave Changla Gang, but only after Changla Gang had swallowed the other gangs and unified the outer city. By then, whether he stayed or left wouldn't matter. But for now, he couldn't leave. Here are the 10 spirit stones I took. Yang Shengwu, paying no heed to the attitude of the Changla Gang members, took out 10 spirit stones, dumped them on the ground, and turned to leave. The faces of the Changla Gang leadership changed drastically. This wasn't an attempt to negotiate for more benefits by feigning withdrawal, he was truly determined to leave Changla Gang. Yang Shengwu, the Talisman Cultivators Association is still searching for you. You don't want your significant other to be hunted down with you, do you? Zhu Zizi smiled, stood up from the gang leader's seat, and his demeanor turned cold. Continue to serve as a patron of Changla Gang, and we'll pretend this withdrawal never happened. And how about you help Changla Gang with one more small task? Yang Shengwu's face was livid. Staring intently at the gang leader, he enunciated each word. Are you threatening me? Do you believe I won't slaughter the entire Changla Gang? The fluctuation of Qi Refinement 7th level spiritual energy burst forth, turning the faces of the Changla Gang members deathly pale. If we die, you won't survive either. Your significant other has followed you here through hardships. If you die, she might end up being sold to some brothel. What a waste that would be. Zhu Zizi remained composed, seemingly unfazed by the threat. The Talisman Cultivators Association and Yang Shengwu's significant other were simply his leverage. Good, very good. Leader Zhu, now I've seen what you're capable of. I'll do one thing for you, and Changla Gang can continue to use my name. The patronage will remain as usual. Zhu Zizi smiled, looking completely nonchalant. Brother Yang is a smart man. Besides the patronage, there will be an additional 50 spirit stones. All you have to do is kill this person. As soon as I have news, I will inform Brother Yang. With that, he handed a painted scroll to Yang Shengwu. The painting, clearly the work of a master, depicted Jia Ren with such vividness and lifelike detail that he seemed to jump off the page. Yang Shengwu took it, freezing on the spot, stunned that Changla Gang wanted him to kill Jia Ren. There's something I want to ask, do you know who this person is? Who? Isn't he just a common loose cultivator? Does he have another identity? Everyone couldn't help but prick up their ears, waiting for what came next. Yang Shengwu placed his right hand behind his back where, unbeknownst to anyone, a long saber magic artifact had appeared. His smile was cold. He is my dear friend and sworn brother. You are seeking death. With a swing of his saber, he slashed Zhou Zizi's head off. The turn of events was too sudden, catching everyone completely off guard. One moment, Yang Shengwu had seemingly submitted, and all was harmonious. In the blink of an eye, the Changla gang leader had been beheaded. They hadn't expected Yang Shengwu to act so madly. Did he not fear the Talisman Cultivators Association and the Law Enforcement Office? Murder. Hold on until the Law Enforcement Office cultivators arrive. This man is doomed. The Changla gang members did not give Yang Shengwu a chance to go on a killing spree. They used defense artifacts and spells to protect themselves and fled in all directions. Survive. If they could hold on until the Law Enforcement Office cultivators arrived, then they could live. Yang Shengwu picked up Zhu Zizi's storage bag, seething with killing intent. Unable to resolve the troubles from the Talisman Cultivators Association and the Law Enforcement Office, he could only entrust Yan Niang to Jia Ren's scare and hide in the Great Wilderness himself. The Talisman Cultivators Association and the Law Enforcement Office would both target him. That way, Yan Niang and Jia Ren would remain safe. Jia Ren knew he had to act, otherwise, Yang Shengwu would likely be unable to handle this mess. If anyone with knowledge of the situation escaped, Yang Shengwu would be in serious trouble. Kek. You whelps of Changla gang dare to provoke me, mosquito Taoist. You will all die. Hundreds of exotic black mosquitoes flew out from a storage bag, heading toward the fleeing Changla gang members. The Changla gang members, having just escaped one peril, didn't expect to be ambushed by exotic black mosquitoes. Relying on his command of the exotic black mosquitoes, Mosquito Taoist had once single-handedly fought 2 9th level of Qi Refinement 5 Elements sect cultivators. Jia Ren's exotic black mosquitoes hadn't reached maturity, but their combat power was none less significant. For them, bullying cultivators below late-stage Qi refining was like preying on the helpless. Low-grade defense artifacts and spirit shields were as fragile as paper, punctured with a single touch. No one could withstand the exotic black mosquitoes' attacks. Once the exotic black mosquitoes made contact with skin, a victim's blood was drained in an instant, leaving behind a desiccated corpse. The speed at which they killed was terrifying. No wonder Mosquito Taoist, relying on his exotic black mosquitoes, had earned such a fearsome reputation. Not wanting to expose his identity, Jia Ren looked at Yang Shengwu, who was frozen in place, and threatened. Aren't you going to scram? Or do you want me to deal with you too? Many thanks, Senior, for your mercy. Yang Shengwu hadn't expected such a turn of events. As long as no one who knew the truth escaped, couldn't he extricate himself from this affair? It seemed he had dodged a bullet. Yang Shengwu didn't dare to linger and fled swiftly. The exotic black mosquitoes had the area completely surrounded. Apart from himself, no one could escape. Hundreds of exotic black mosquitoes whizzed past, their lethality staggering. All the Changla gang members fell victim to them. The exotic black mosquitoes are indeed powerful. Jia Ren commanded the exotic black mosquitoes to eliminate every last one, not even sparing the Changla gang leader's corpse, thus erasing all traces of Yang Shengwu's actions. While the exotic black mosquitoes were at work, Jia Ren didn't forget to collect the storage bags from the Changla gang members. These were the spoils of this venture and couldn't be left for the arriving law enforcement office cultivators. After gathering all the storage bags, he first stripped the robes from several high-ranking Changla gang cultivators. While taking the Taoist robes from the loose cultivators' bodies, he also threw out corpse-dissolving powder to dispose of the corpses. Time to make a run for it. If he waited until the law enforcement office cultivators arrived, escape wouldn't be so easy. Without hesitating, Jia Ren ordered the exotic black mosquitoes into his spirit beast bag, activated his wind control skill, and departed swiftly. Shortly after he left, law enforcement office cultivators arrived on flying swords. Seeing the scene of desiccated corpses dissolving into putrid sludge, their expressions changed dramatically. These wounds weren't caused by magic artifacts, but by mosquito-type demonic insects. It's likely Mosquito Taoist. A law enforcement office cultivator recovered a body not yet fully dissolved by the corpse-dissolving powder and analyzed it with a somber expression. Mosquito Taoist used exotic black mosquitoes to kill, concealing his own involvement. A remnant of 1,000 beasts mountain dares to come to the 5 Elements sect territory? Don't think we can't find this rat. Several sound transmission talismans flared into light and flew off in all directions. A moment later, hundreds of streaks of light scattered across the sky above the Great Wilderness Market, searching for the fleeing Mosquito Taoist. The Great Wilderness Market was destined for a sleepless night. In the inner city of the market, Mosquito Taoist was in secluded meditation. For some reason, His eyelids wouldn't stop twitching. He had a premonition of impending doom. I've been lying low until now, there shouldn't be any problems. Chapter 73, Inventory of Harvest. The wind control skill of the extraordinary saint level is indeed powerful. Jia Ren soared through the winds, rapidly leaving the northern district and easily evading the enforcement division cultivators. He skillfully changed his robe and altered his appearance. The spirit beast bag and storage bag were hidden away as he checked himself for any flaws. After ensuring there were no safety concerns, Jia Ren decided against entering the inner city through the northern district's entrance. The most recent escape routes he knew were the entrance to the inner city from the northern district and the outer city exit of the Great Wilderness Market. These locations were under the law enforcement office's strictest scrutiny, making them prone to trouble. I should enter through the south gate. After changing his appearance several times and confirming he wasn't being followed, Jia Ren, now under the guise of Zhen Yi, successfully entered the inner city through the south district. Seal all entrances. Every cultivator entering the inner city must be thoroughly investigated. Not long after Jia Ren passed through, the inner city entrances were sealed, prohibiting all entry and exit. The law enforcement office paid great attention to the mosquito Taoist. He represented a loose end from the Thousand Beasts Mountain. His shadow loomed over both the insect calamity at Grand Wilderness Mountain and the burning of the spirit fields. The law enforcement office mobilized its full strength, conducting meticulous investigations throughout the inner and outer cities. They were determined to root out the mosquito Taoist and any spies from Thousand Beasts Mountain to eliminate these hidden dangers. Jia Ren followed the main road to a formation instrument shop that had not yet closed. Taoist Zen, this is your second visit. Have you decided which formation you would like to purchase? The shopkeeper asked. He had a good memory and still remembered Jia Ren from his recent visit. Jia Ren, having already familiarized himself with the prices and types of formations available, got straight to the point. The solid as golden soup formation. Please wait a moment. The shopkeeper handed Jia Ren a cup of spiritual tea before retrieving the array plate for the solid as golden soup formation from a shelf. It consisted of 7 palm-sized, pale golden discs engraved with dense arrays of runes, each with a notch in the center for placing spirit stones. The solid as golden soup formation is a first-order medium-grade defensive formation. The shopkeeper explained. The array plate provides 55% of the formation's deployment effectiveness, and its actual power depends on the setup. The smaller the coverage area, the stronger the defense. It can withstand attacks from late-stage chi refinement cultivators for a short period. When powered by medium-grade spirit stones, its defensive effectiveness can be tripled. The price is only 500 spirit stones. 400 spirit stones. Jia Ren countered. The two bargained fiercely, ultimately settling on a price of 480 spirit stones. When it came to safety-related formations, cutting corners was not an option. While Jia Ren did not expect the solid as golden soup formation to guarantee his safety, it could at least provide enough time to react if a powerful enemy attacked. After paying the spirit stones and confirming he was not being followed, Jia Ren left with the solid as golden soup formation. His residence in Heavenly Arts Lane, inner city, Jia Ren took out the solid as golden soup formation. He placed the 7 array plates at corresponding points around a stone house to form a heptagram and inserted 7 spirit stones into their notches. The formation activated, creating a layer of pale golden light that enveloped the stone house, which was more than 10 feet wide. This protective light offered a sense of security. While active, it would keep any external foes outside the solid as golden soup formation. It's too conspicuous. The solid as golden soup formation, worth 480 spirit stones, could invite trouble if noticed by the wrong people. The pale golden light gradually faded, eventually becoming invisible to the naked eye. Ordinarily, the formation would be kept inactive and only activated during meditation to conserve spirit stones. With his residence now guarded by a formation, Jia Ren could cultivate in peace. Time to dig a tunnel. Whenever he moved to a new residence, constructing a tunnel was essential. An extra safeguard meant being prepared for any eventuality. The remaining 30 corner worms were dispatched to resume their old work of digging. Jia Ren pulled out a large number of storage bags hidden beneath his Taoist robe. 17 of them were opened, and their contents dumped out, filling the stone house with such a multitude of items of all shapes and colors that there was no room to step. Sorting through the large amount of miscellaneous items was headache-inducing. Magic artifacts, elixirs, spirit rice, artifact refining materials, spiritual medicines, and other items were categorized and placed into corresponding storage bags. The sorting took over an hour. I never thought that counting wealth would be such a mentally exhausting task, Jia Ren mused. This is exactly the kind of chore I should have more often. As the clutter in the stone house diminished, his mood lightened considerably. Moments later, the haul from the 17 storage bags was tallied, 924 spirit stones and 3 fragmented spirits. 896 caddies of spirit rice and 1,521 caddies of ordinary rice. Pills, 74 minor restoration pills, 121 spirit bud elixirs, 47 chi recovery pills, 117 ascension pills, 205 bliss pills, and 96 longevity pills. 16 unidentified blood-colored elixirs. A total of 48 magic artifacts, 7 medium-grade magic tools and 41 low-quality magical artifacts. 32 caddies of various types of monster beast meat. Talismans, 5 demon spawn talismans, 36 cleaning talismans, 47 sound transmission talismans, 12 immobilization talismans, 2 evil warding talismans, and 3 ice cone talismans. 9 jade slips recorded cultivation techniques and spells. Additionally, there were various ore stones, demonic beast materials, spiritual medicines, unknown powders, and other sundry items. The cultivation resources were a chaotic mix, mostly of poor quality. The Changla gang had amassed a significant number of spirit stones by extorting loose cultivators for protection money and selling forbidden pills like bliss pills and ascension pills. Jia Ren had only obtained a portion. The Changla gang had far more than 17 members, and the gang leader's storage bag was still in Yang Shengwu's possession. The rule that resources flow upwards had never changed. The lion's share of the income, nearly 70%, came from a few of the Changla gang's higher-ups. The leaders feasted on meat while the lower ranks merely got soup. Even so, ordinary gang members had decent earnings, far exceeding those of bottom-tier loose cultivators. A rough estimate suggested that if all these resources were converted to spirit stones, they would fetch at least 2,000. Murder and arson for a golden belt. He thought. No wonder so many bizarre cultivators take up this line of work. It's cost-free and highly profitable. Making demon spawn talismans isn't easy, and I've been worried about my livelihood. This haul has certainly solved that looming trouble. Jia Ren had hit the jackpot by wiping out the Changla gang's lair. Still, he felt he might have struck too early. If the Changla gang had been allowed to continue expanding, its clutches reaching into the other 3 city districts, it could have profited from protection fees and the 3 forbidden pills for another month. In that case, the number of spirit stones could have multiplied several times over, easily reaching tens of thousands. By then, however, it would not have been Jia Ren's opportunity to act. The law enforcement office would have undoubtedly swung its harvesting sickle under the banner of punishing evil. These bliss pills, ascension pills, and longevity pills cannot be allowed to harm others, they must all be destroyed. Poisonous pills were indeed harmful, and Jia Ren was unwilling to earn spirit stones by compromising his conscience. Do any of these jade slips contain a suitable cultivation technique or spell? He picked up a jade slip and gave it a cursory glance, barely concealing his disappointment. The jade slips recorded several cultivation techniques and spells, but they were all commonplace items with no real value. Is there no alchemy inheritance? The methods for making bliss pills and ascension pills were certainly not a true alchemy inheritance, but there might still be something to learn from them. Perhaps it's in the Changla gang leader's storage bag. Or perhaps, no inheritance was left behind at all. Elder Wu, too, had no habit of leaving behind an inheritance. His skill in crafting demon spawn talismans was almost instinctual. Why would he record it? Jia Ren mused. Just to wait for some bizarre cultivator to kill him and steal it? By not leaving an inheritance, those who sought to acquire cultivation techniques and inheritances through underhanded means would have to think twice. If they genuinely sought an inheritance, they would likely resort to relatively milder methods. Chapter 74, Gazetteer of Kinksai. The Gazetteer of Kinksai. Jia Ren was browsing through the jade slip for useful items when he unexpectedly discovered a travelogue written by someone known as the Kinksai Ascendant, chronicling his adventures wandering the world. The Kinksai Ascendant was not weak, he was a rare Foundation establishment loose cultivator who enjoyed traveling the world and possessed extensive knowledge. The sects of the Great Wilderness's extreme regions, such as the Five Elements sect, Vajragate, Spirit Beast Mountain, Heavenly Sword sect, and Blood Demon sect, were all recorded. Each sect had its own sphere of influence, occupying territories large and small, and controlled local resources. The Five Elements sect bordered the Great Wilderness and covered the region extending over 2,500 miles, with 2 Golden Core stage powerhouses stationed within the sect. When was this information recorded? The Five Elements sect only has one late Golden Core stage 5 Elements ancestor. The sects mentioned in the Gazetteer of Kinksai did not include Thousand Beasts Mountain, the closest was the Spirit Beast sect. Could the Spirit Beast sect be the predecessor of Thousand Beasts Mountain? Thousand Beasts Mountain had been wiped out, and the Five Elements sect had annexed its territory, expanding their domain even further. Jia Ren had never heard of the Vajragate. Is it too distant, or am I simply out of the loop? For some reason, Jia Ren thought of the body refining techniques Yang Bingzi had given him, the mixed refining Vajra body. Could it have originated from the Vajragate? He searched in the Gazetteer of Kingsai and found more information. The Vajragate was a sect that focused on body refinement. The high likelihood that the mixed refining Vajra body from the Five Elements sect had come from the Vajragate suggested that the sect had likely perished in history, its core teachings becoming a legacy of the Five Elements sect. He had heard of the Heavenly Sword sect and the Blood Demon sect a few times. The Blood Demon sect was in decline, barely leaving any traces. The Heavenly Sword sect did not get along with the Five Elements sect, the two often clashed. While old sects had perished, new ones had emerged. The Yuding sect and the Black Soul sect were not found in the records, indicating they were newly established sects. The Jade Slip was ancient, and much of its information was outdated. Loose cultivators had too few channels to access information, resulting in relatively shallow knowledge. Jia Ren read with great interest, considering it a review of history to supplement his understanding of this world. Bizarre evils never perish, resurrecting from the dead? Bizarre evils are the true darlings of this world, unkillable and indestructible. No matter the method used to slay them, within a short period, they will revive and return in force. Jia Ren was stunned for a long time after reading the message left at the end by the Kingsai Ascendant. The only solution is to use sealing arrays and artifacts to seal them away. This was the first time he had come across such information, having never heard similar rumors among loose cultivators. Was it concealed by the sects? Some bizarre evils are terrifyingly powerful, growing stronger the more people are aware of them. The name had been redacted. The Kingsai Ascendant did not wish information about the bizarre evils to leak out. This record sent a chill through Jia Ren's heart. He had previously thought that although bizarre evils were powerful, cultivators, with their absolute strength, could still ensure their own safety and easily exterminate such beings. Humans were supposed to be the protagonists of this world, the children of heaven and earth. Reading the Gazetteer of Kingsai shattered Jia Ren's worldview. Were fiendish bizarre evils the true protagonists of the world? Undying, and could only be sealed or avoided? The mysterious beings that grew stronger the more people knew of them were truly horrifying. No wonder I had never heard any rumors about them. Jia Ren felt downhearted, becoming increasingly wary and fearful of these fiendish bizarre evils. The truth is only known to a select few. The rulers don't want more people to be aware of this, otherwise, these types of fiendish bizarre evils would become even more powerful. Ignorance is sometimes bliss, at least it keeps one from constantly living in despair. Fiendish bizarre evils can still be sealed, it's not without a solution. Methods like evil warding talismans were crafted by cultivators specifically to combat fiendish bizarre evils. Similar methods must also exist in other cultivation arts such as formations, elixirs, and artifacts. Cultivators are in a tough spot, but at least there's still a glimmer of hope. No matter how difficult the world is, I must persevere and not be defeated. Jia Ren took a deep breath, regaining his composure. Being shrouded in despair all day would affect his cultivation, which was not beneficial to him. As my strength continues to increase, even if I can't deal with bizarre evils, I'll still have the ability to protect myself. Moreover, the Kingsai Ascendant was at the Foundation establishment stage. Just because that stage couldn't solve the problem doesn't mean cultivators at the higher Golden Core and Nascent Soul stages can't solve it either. The fact that cultivators and humans have survived to this day without going extinct is the best proof. I must find a way to learn the evil warding charm art. Jia Ren had initially been interested in the evil warding charm art mainly because evil warding talismans were valuable, learning it would mean earning spirit stones quickly. Now, the situation is completely different. If I master the evil warding charm art and level it up through the proficiency panel, the talismans I produce will be more effective. They would offer stronger protection against fiendish bizarre evils. Improving the evil warding charm art to the extraordinary saint level would also significantly increase its power against these fiendish bizarre evils. I'll first try to obtain the evil warding charm art through Yang Bingzi's channels. If that's not possible, I can consider making a move against the Talisman Cultivators Association. The Talisman Cultivators Association is not weak. I must increase my strength before I have the power to deal with them. Jia Ren had just made a fortune and possessed many elixirs like minor restoration pills and spirit bud elixirs. The elixirs from the Changli gang members were of poor quality, mostly inferior goods bought cheaply from street stalls. I don't dare to consume such elixirs, I can only try to sell them off. Once things calm down, I'll use the Thousand Fantasies face to disguise myself and slowly sell them at a stall. Alternating between consuming spirit bud elixirs and major restoration elixirs would strengthen his cultivation level. Upon reaching the late stage chi refining, both the quantity and quality of his spiritual energy would improve. The spirit bud elixirs and major restoration elixirs were effective at the mid-stage of chi cultivation, but less so at the late-stage chi refining. Even so, they were still far better than meditating and consuming spirit rice. Elixirs for the late-stage chi refining aren't cheap, it's another significant expense. After ingesting an elixir, Jia Ren quickly entered a meditative state, oblivious to the world around him. The medicinal power swiftly transformed into spiritual power, slowly circulating through his meridians. After an unknown amount of time, Jia Ren heard a door being smashed in the distance. It was not his dwelling, but his neighbor's. Law Enforcement Office. Search. Come out. Could they be searching for Mosquito Taoist? Jia Ren could not remain calm. He quickly stored the impenetrable defense array in his storage bag. He also concealed the spirit beast bag and the array underground, wrapped in tattered cloth to hide any spiritual power fluctuations. He kept only a storage bag containing a few dozen spirit stones on him as camouflage. He controlled the corner worms to block the underground entrance and erase any traces. These ruthless bastards, once they consider you a fat sheep, won't stop until they've skinned you alive. Hey, are you a spy from Thousand Beasts Mountain? The law enforcement office has its own judgment. Come with us. I am truly not affiliated with Thousand Beasts Mountain. Please, my lord, understand. Peering through a crack in his stone house, Jia Ren saw 2 enforcement division cultivators enter the neighbor's house and search for suspicious items. If they found something they liked, they would casually put it into their storage bags. The cultivator forced a smile and respectfully handed over some spirit stones. The enforcement division cultivators took the spirit stones and left after confirming there were no further issues. The next house to be inspected was Jia Ren's. Jia Ren watched as the enforcement division cultivators arrived at his stone house. Just as they were about to force their way in, a sound transmission talisman flew over. A voice emitted from the sound transmission talisman. Mosquito Taoist spotted. Need backup immediately. Chapter 75, New Gang Life, please follow. When faced with the enforcement division cultivators, Mosquito Taoist initially thought it was just a routine inspection and paid little attention. It wasn't until the enforcement division cultivators left and sent out a sound transmission talisman for reinforcements that he realized he was in severe trouble. I've been lying low for the past month without ever leaving my residence. Mosquito Taoist couldn't fathom how he had been exposed. Countless streaks of light rapidly approached, with no shortage of late-stage chi refinement cultivators among them. A terrifying aura rose in the inner city. The Foundation establishment stage guardian of the Great Wilderness Market had locked onto him. With no hope left, he gave a desolate smile. None of you shall live. Mosquito Taoist summoned exotic black mosquitoes from his spirit beast bag and launched a frenzied attack on the enforcement division cultivators. Form the 5 elements primordial formation. 5 elements sect disciples could form a minor 5 elements formation, and 25 could form a major one, their 5-colored radiance cycling and regenerating endlessly. Mosquito Taoist and his exotic black mosquitoes were trapped within the 5 elements primordial formation. All their attacks were swallowed by the 5-colored light screen, which continuously eroded their spiritual power. Mosquito Taoist, had you not slaughtered the Changligang cultivators in the outer city, we might not have found you. You assassinated 37 5 elements sect disciples. Your crime is deserving of death. What the hell is the Changligang? I've never left the inner city. Who is framing me? Could it be? Unbidden, Jia Ren's face emerged in his mind. Very few knew of his presence in the Great Wilderness Market, other than the fellow sect cultivators in hiding. There was only Jia Ren. The 5 elements sect didn't give Mosquito Taoist a chance. The 5-colored millstone descended, grinding both Mosquito Taoist and his exotic black mosquitoes into minced flesh. The remnant of Thousand Beasts Mountain, Mosquito Taoist, has been executed. The voice was like rolling thunder as the 5 elements sect proclaimed their power. Mosquito Taoist is dead? Jia Ren, using Mosquito Taoist's identity as a disguise, did not wish to expose himself. He hadn't expected the 5 elements sect to act so quickly, finding the hidden Mosquito Taoist in just 2 hours and eliminating him. The sect was indeed terrifying, its power far beyond what low-level loose cultivators could imagine. Could this be considered clearing out a remnant of Thousand Beasts Mountain for the 5 elements sect, and, by leveraging their actions, also removing a hidden threat in the Great Wilderness Market? With Mosquito Taoist dead, the turmoil in the Great Wilderness Market was not yet over. The operation to search for remnants of Thousand Beasts Mountain continued. Jia Ren's residence inevitably faced a search by enforcement division cultivators. His master-level Thousand Fantasies face disguise was formidable and did not reveal his true identity. Of course, some financial loss was unavoidable. For the next 3 days, a state of panic gripped the Great Wilderness Market. Jia Ren calmly continued his cultivation, working on improving his proficiency level in both the Thousand Fantasies Face and the Seeking Demon Talisman technique. After 3 days, the tumult subsided, and Jia Ren left the inner city. I hope Yang Shengwu is alright. Back in the outer city, he reverted to his original appearance and contacted Yang Shengwu via a sound transmission talisman. Yang Shengwu left early. Does that guarantee he's unharmed? He received a response from the sound transmission talisman, and the two agreed to meet in the west of the city. When Jia Ren saw Yang Shengwu again, the man showed no joy from obtaining a hefty sum of spirit stones, only an exhausted expression. I just came into an unexpected windfall. Yang Shengwu said, taking out over 150 spirit stones and handing them over. This is from the sale of the demon spotting talisman and includes the spirit stones I owe you. A gang leader's share was naturally the largest. Having received the Changla gang leader's spirit stones, Yang Shengwu's pockets were now much deeper. Perhaps not comparable to Jia Ren's haul, it was still a considerable sum. Alright, I will accept the spirit stones. Jia Ren did not refuse. Spirit stones were indispensable for rapidly increasing his cultivation level. I also have a jade slip for you. Yang Shengwu hesitated for a moment, then handed over a grey jade slip. The Changla gang's alchemy? Jia Ren had a hunch. After confirming with his spirit high technique that it posed no danger, he reached out and accepted it. Alchemy. What a pity, it's all trash. His spiritual sense probed the grey jade slip, and he quickly scanned the information within. This was the alchemy jade slip owned by the Changla gang. Not a single orthodox elixir was listed. Longevity pill, bliss pill, ascension pill, blood burning pill, and burning spirit pill. The recorded elixirs were all crooked and deviant. This couldn't be alchemy from the demonic sex, could it? The first 3 longevity pill, bliss pill, and ascension pill were akin to addictive drugs. Overuse was tantamount to slow suicide. The blood burning pill was a demonic pill, a special elixir suitable for demon cultivators. After consumption, it transformed all blood into demonic blood, enhancing the power of the blood-burning technique and demonic blood flames. For an ordinary loose cultivator, taking the blood-burning pill was tantamount to suicide. The burning spirit pill was familiar. Jia Ren had taken it once. Using it burned one's lifespan limit in exchange for a short-term boost in strength. All 5 were forbidden pills, each with different hidden dangers, bringing endless trouble to ordinary people who consumed them. Jia Ren lingered on the burning spirit pill, a daring thought forming in his mind. The lifespan lost from the burning spirit pill could be replenished with turtle spirit ointment. If one could obtain a large quantity of turtle spirit ointment, couldn't the negative effects of the burning spirit pill be minimized? This meant that with enough turtle spirit ointment, the burning spirit pill could serve as a combat support elixir. Used well, it's no less than a trump card. I'll keep the jade slip. Knowledge of these alchemy methods, though unorthodox, could provide insights. It might make learning true alchemy much easier in the future. You're not asking how I got this? You should know their origin. Seeing Jia Ren didn't ask, Yang Shengwu stared intently at him, as if searching his face for an answer. Jia Ren replied with a beaming smile. Brother Yang, why do you think you were able to leave smoothly? You joined Thousand Beasts Mountain? Yang Shengwu did not connect Jia Ren to the infamous mosquito Taoist. Appearances and ores could be disguised, but the exotic black mosquitoes couldn't be faked. Moreover, Mosquito Taoist was dead. Therefore, there was only one possibility. Jia Ren was a disciple of Thousand Beasts Mountain, and Mosquito Taoist had spared him at Jia Ren's request. I will not join Thousand Beasts Mountain, rest assured. Jia Ren said. The spirit stones in Leader Zhu's storage bag will be enough for you and Yun Niang to use for a while. It won't be long before we make the Talisman Cultivators Association pay 100-fold for the hardships we've endured. Jia Ren harbored the idea of snatching the evil-warding talisman. In the future, he would definitely make a move against the Talisman Cultivators Association. He needed to cultivate in peace for the time being, assimilating his gains and quickly improving his strength. I'm afraid I can't cultivate in peace. Yang Shengwu's smile was tinged with bitterness. The law enforcement office approached me, wanting me to rebuild the Changla gang. He had heeded Jia Ren's advice and left the gang at the earliest opportunity. It's useless. The law enforcement office had already labeled him as part of the Changla gang. Quitting was ineffective. While searching for Mosquito Taoist, Enforcement Division cultivators had come to his door. They coerced and enticed Yang Shengwu to rebuild the Changla gang and unify the outer city. How dare they? Jia Ren seethed inwardly. The law enforcement office's plan to fatten a pig for slaughter hadn't ended. Re-establishing the Changla gang was just a way to plunder the outer city's resources. They would accumulate enough wealth, and when the loose cultivators' resentment towards the Changla gang reached its peak, that would be the time for the law enforcement office to strike. Why didn't you flee? Jia Ren asked. Yang Shengwu's face bore a bitter expression as he shook his head. I can't escape even if I wanted to. A restriction from the Five Elements sect has been planted within me. Leaving the Great Wilderness Market means death. A nameless rage burned in Jia Ren's heart, a sudden impulse to destroy both the Five Elements sect and the Great Wilderness Market. This is too much to bear. He had thought that by eliminating the malignant tumor of the Changla gang, he would resolve future troubles, including the outer city's protection fees and the issue of forbidden pills. He had underestimated the law enforcement office's depravity. The enforcement division cultivators, for their own selfish gain, had threatened and controlled Yang Shengwu, forcing him to re-establish the Changla gang. Clearly, they wanted to use the Changla gang as a tool to bleed the outer city dry, letting the gang take all the blame while they reap the rewards. Their methods were utterly vile and disgusting. The evil of fiends and demonic beasts paled in comparison to the oppression and cruelty cultivators inflicted upon each other. Brother Jia, I have a favor to ask. Yang Shengwu said, his voice heavy. If something happens to me, please look after Yun Niang. She has just conceived my child. When the law enforcement office makes its move, you must ensure her safety at all costs. He had came to this meeting already intending to entrust his family's future to Jia Ren. Chapter 76, Ban-breaking finger to solve Yang Shengwu's troubles. Jia Ren currently had 3 ideas. First, break the Five Elements sect's prohibition on Yang Shengwu. With no prohibitions on him, leaving the Great Wilderness Market would be worry-free. Second, seek help from Yang Bingzi. By spending a sum of spirit stones, he could persuade the outer city law enforcement office to turn a blind eye and find a new candidate. As both Yang Bingzi and members of the office were Five Elements sect cultivators, Yang Bingzi's reputation might carry some weight, provided he reached late-stage qi refining. Third, find an influential powerhouse to settle the matter. This person's status would need to be sufficient to make the law enforcement office back down and either protect Yang Shengwu or squash the plans to prop up the Changla gang. Each method was more difficult than the last. The simplest was the first. Jia Ren would seek a secret technique for breaking prohibitions. By relying on the proficiency panel to improve his proficiency level, the Five Elements sect's prohibitions might not be unsolvable. The second option depended on Yang Bingzi's status within the Five Elements sect. Without comparable power and status, rashly approaching them with spirit stones would be like sending sheep into the tiger's maw. The third option also relied on Yang Bingzi, leveraging the strength of some influential figure to resolve the issue. Of course, Jia Ren also had an even bolder idea. Annihilate the law enforcement office and the Five Elements sect, solving the problem at its root. The time required would be measured in centuries. Yang Shengwu was unlikely to live to see that day. Brother Yang, slow down the Changla gang's development for now. Buy me some time, and I'll help you solve this trouble. Yang Shengwu shook his head with a bitter smile. The law enforcement office has given me a death order, provide at least 1,000 spirit stones every month. If I fail to meet the demand, they'll send me to an early grave. Provide spirit stones? The law enforcement office, having seen the fall of the previous Changla gang, understood the risks of fattening a pig only for it to be slaughtered by someone else, or for others to snatch the prize. They had changed their strategy to slicing off the meat quickly. This way, even if someone acted righteously and destroyed the Changla gang, they wouldn't be able to seize many spirit stones. The law enforcement office would have already siphoned off most of the Changla gang's extortionate profits. A monthly tribute of 1,000 spirit stones? Without distributing benefits to subordinates, who would willingly risk their lives for him? To maintain Changla gang's development, Yang Shengwu couldn't be a leader without followers. Maintaining Changla gang's stability would likely require about 2,000 spirit stones a month. Isn't this indirectly encouraging them to extort the loose cultivators of the outer city to their breaking point? I still have a batch of elixirs and magic artifacts. You can use them to reward your followers. That should help with this emergency. Jia Ren said. He took out some of the resources he had obtained from killing members of the Changla gang. These were mostly magic artifacts and elixirs that were difficult to dispose of, along with other resources that needed to be processed slowly. The elixirs and magic artifacts bore the Changla gang's mark, so they couldn't be sold rashly due to the risk of the law enforcement office investigating. Giving them to Yang Shengwu to reward Changla gang members wasn't a major issue, it would be considered internal distribution. Looking at the 7 storage bags passed to him, Yang Shengwu knew their value was not low and understood Jia Ren's intentions. I will accept these items. Yang Shengwu said. Before anything happens to the Changla gang, I will hand over all the spirit stones within the gang to you. I absolutely can't let you suffer a loss. Be extremely careful in all matters. Jia Ren cautioned. He offered a few more consoling words and quickly left. With these resources, as long as no divine justice descended, Yang Shengwu should be able to rely on Changligang for wealth without any worries for at least 2 or 3 months. The key was figuring out a solution. Jia Ren took out a sound transmission talisman and sought assistance from Yang Bingzi. He wouldn't rely on just one plan, he needed several backups. First, I'll go to the Tongfa shop to see if they have any spells or secret techniques for breaking prohibitions. He changed his appearance, stature, and Taoist robe to look like Zhen Yi and smoothly entered the Tongfa shop in the inner city. Low-level prohibitions can be forcefully broken with spiritual power, without needing a specific technique to dispel them. The clerk explained. High-tier prohibitions involve techniques for using spiritual power and the divine soul, which are rarely circulated. The Tongfa shop doesn't stock any prohibition-breaking techniques. The Tongfa shop catered to loose cultivators, so even moderately advanced spells couldn't be purchased there. Jia Ren left the Tongfa shop and visited a few other stores that sold such items, but unfortunately, luck was not on his side, and he failed to find any prohibition-breaking techniques. Fellow Taoist, do you have a solution? Desperate, Jia Ren returned to the Tongfa shop and handed 5 spirit stones to the clerk. With spirit stones paving the way, things were indeed easier to accomplish. To my knowledge, Tanbao Pavilion deals in breaking prohibitions. The clerk said. If fellow Taoist wishes to break a prohibition, you can visit Tanbao Pavilion. Could he get them to break the prohibition in Yang Shengwu's body? Probably not. The prohibition on Yang Shengwu was from the 5 Elements sect. Tanbao Pavilion, wanting to continue its business in the Great Wilderness Market, would never dare to attract such trouble. It was more likely that not only would the attempt fail, but they might also report it to the law enforcement office, which would be even more troublesome. I can only go to Tanbao Pavilion and ask if they sell prohibition-breaking techniques. Compared to specialized shops like the Tongfa shop and Pill Cauldron Pavilion, Tanbao Pavilion was much more diverse. It sold everything a cultivator might need, from elixirs and magic artifacts to talismans. Tanbao Pavilion had no shops in the outer city. This was Jia Ren's first visit. Jia Ren was received by a beautiful female cultivator and entered Tanbao Pavilion, admiring the 3-story building with its intricately carved beams and painted rafters. He looked around at the various display cabinets. Elixirs, magic artifacts, talismans, and other items were categorized and displayed at their respective counters. Fellow Taoist, it's your first visit to Tanbao Pavilion. The female cultivator said. What are you looking to buy? Prohibition-breaking techniques. Jia Ren replied. Fellow Taoist, you've come at just the right time. Apart from Tanbao Pavilion, I'm afraid you won't find any other shop that sells them. Really? Jia Ren's eyes lit up. He had originally thought he would have to spend a hefty sum and even persuade a prohibition-breaking master, with only a slim chance of success. It seemed much easier than he had anticipated. The female cultivator covered her mouth with a smile and explained. Previously, we didn't have any. But Tanbao Pavilion is backed by the Yuding sect. Not long ago, the Yuding sect eradicated a small sect skilled in breaking prohibitions. At any other time, even with spirit stones, you might not have been able to buy one. The Yuding sect wiped out a sect skilled in breaking prohibitions? How casually she spoke of annihilating an entire sect. Perhaps this was just normal in the cultivation world. Tanbao Pavilion only has one technique for breaking prohibitions, called the ban-breaking finger. The female cultivator continued. The ban-breaking finger specializes in using a single point to break the entire structure, severing the prohibition's energy cycle. It's priced at 180 spirit stones. The price was indeed not cheap. It was rare for a loose cultivator to be willing to spend nearly 200 spirit stones to buy a prohibition-breaking technique. Unlike skills like alchemy or artifact refining, opportunities to use prohibition-breaking techniques were infrequent. Even if you set up a stall in the market to break prohibitions, you couldn't expect business every day. I'll buy it. Jia Ren didn't hesitate and decisively paid the spirit stones. Unlike the 1,000 fantasies face he had purchased before, the ban-breaking finger technique could be sold repeatedly by Tanbao Pavilion, representing a massive profit for them. I should acquire another attack spell as well. Jia Ren was not in a rush to leave. He planned to add a new, powerful attack spell to his arsenal. All along, he had focused on speed, stealth, and defense, and his repertoire of attack spells consisted only of the metal finger technique and the fireball technique. The metal finger technique, having reached the Grandmaster level, was quite potent. However, if he considered a cultivator at the 9th level of Chi refinement from the Talisman Cultivators Association as a hypothetical enemy, its power might not be enough. The fireball technique had reached the Grandmaster level, and its power surpassed even the Grandmaster level metal finger technique. However, relying on this one spell made his offensive capabilities too one-dimensional. If he encountered magic artifacts or treasures specifically designed to counter it, he might find himself powerless. Jia Ren started searching in Tanbao Pavilion and set his sights on a powerful thunder attribute attack spell. Chapter 77, Thunderous Charge Curse. First Order Advanced Spell, Thunderous Charge Curse. The Thunderous Charge Curse is a special attack spell that, in addition to attacking the target, also has the effect of imbuing magic artifacts and the user with thunder. The former boosts the magic artifact's flight speed and thunder power, enhancing its lethality. The latter, with thunder surging through one's body, increases one's speed and explosive power, with melee attacks dealing additional thunder damage. It was a versatile thunder attribute spell. However, it had advantages and disadvantages. Few cultivators who learned the Thunderous Charge Curse chose to apply its self-augmentation. Thunder attribute spells were known for their destructive power, and ordinary magic artifacts and cultivator bodies couldn't withstand the might of the Thunderous Charge Curse. For the former, the magic artifact would, at most, be destroyed. For the latter, it was a matter of life and death. If one uses the Thunderous Charge Curse on oneself and the enemy doesn't die, the user might blow up first. Jia Ren wasn't worried about the adverse effects. He would soon be cultivating the mixed refining Vajra body. As his proficiency level increased, his body would become stronger, and handling the additional effects of the Thunderous Charge Curse wouldn't be an issue. His extraordinary saint-level wind control skill was already astonishingly fast. How much faster could it become with the additional buff from the Thunderous Charge Curse? With superior speed, whether to fight or flee is my decision. This was the spell Jia Ren liked the most. Its only downside was, it was expensive. The Thunderous Charge Curse costs 120 spirit stones. The price, compared to other first-order high-tier spells, was 50% higher, reflecting the premium for the most destructive thunder attribute spell. Jia Ren paid 300 spirit stones without hesitation and left with the ban-breaking finger and the Thunderous Charge Curse. The anticipated situation of being followed didn't happen. It was unclear whether this was due to Tanbao Pavilion's reputation or the changes brought about by his cultivation reaching the late stage chi refining. In the following time, Jia Ren focused his energy on cultivating the ban-breaking finger and the Thunderous Charge Curse. He quickly grasped the basics of the ban-breaking finger. The jade slip contained a simple restrictive formation, which he practiced destroying with the ban-breaking finger. It was cast quickly, consumed little spiritual power, and his proficiency level improved at an amazing rate. Jia Ren would only have one chance to break the Yangsheng Wu 5 elements sex restriction. Whether he succeeded or failed, it would attract the Enforcement Division cultivators. To be safe, it's best to raise the ban-breaking finger to the Grandmaster level. It's uncertain how much time I have, so the quicker I meet the requirements, the better. Compared to the smooth progress with the ban-breaking finger, reaching the initial stage of the Thunderous Charge Curse was much more troublesome. For 5 consecutive days, he hadn't even crossed the threshold. The burst of thunder was hard to control effectively. Each time the spell failed, the straying lightning would make his body tremble, preventing him from practicing again for a short time. Finally, I succeeded. Early on the 6th day, Jia Ren couldn't recall how many times he had attempted the Thunderous Charge Curse, but he finally cast it successfully. This signified that he had officially reached the initial stage of the Thunderous Charge Curse. What followed was the process of becoming proficient and gaining stable control. Jia Ren hadn't been happy for long when an Enforcement Division cultivator showed up at his door. Don't you know that using attack spells is forbidden in the inner city? Had someone reported him? Jia Ren glanced at his neighbor, who was sneakily peeking toward his residence. It was unclear whether the man was merely enjoying the drama as a bystander or was the instigator behind the law enforcement office's visit. Come with us to the law enforcement office. To the law enforcement office? Once inside, I fear that neither the magic artifacts on my person nor the contents of my storage bag will be safe. Your Honor, please forgive me. Jia Ren had no choice but to spend spirit stones to avoid disaster, handing over 30. At least you know what's good for you. After taking the spirit stones, the Enforcement Division cultivator left, satisfied. Jia Ren saw the schadenfreude in his neighbor's eyes and felt annoyed. If someone doesn't want me to be happy, I won't let them have an easy time either. He was Zhen Yi. If something happened, he could just switch to a new identity. He knocked on his neighbor's door and stared at the man with an unfriendly expression. Did you report me to the law enforcement office? The neighbor's eyes betrayed panic as he quickly said. What are you talking about? Don't slander me without evidence. It was true that the neighbor had reported Jia Ren, but how could he admit such a thing? Jia Ren wasted no more words, grabbing a lime bag and throwing it at him. The neighbor, wary of Jia Ren, immediately raised his spirit shield. Jia Ren was prepared. A golden light flashed at his fingertip, instantly piercing the newly formed spirit shield. The lime and mixed itching powder landed squarely on the neighbor. Instantly, his entire body began to itch unbearably, and multiple areas swelled up red. How dare you attack me? I'm reporting this to the law enforcement office right now. You're dead. No one can save you now. He hadn't expected Jiren to be so bold as to openly use poison in broad daylight within the inner city, so flagrantly flouting the law. You should first worry about whether you'll survive this. Jiren said coolly. It has always been Mr. Zen who does the killing, no one has ever dared to bully me like this. Zen Yi declared. Is Zen Yi so fearless, willing to trade his life for mine? The neighbor thought. How had I managed to provoke such a relentless character? His guts churned with regret. It's better to provoke a 5 elements sect cultivator than to mess with a ruthless character who has nothing to lose. Here are 30 spirit stones, to compensate for your loss. The neighbor hurriedly said, taking out the spirit stones. Go ahead and report me to the law enforcement office. As long as I'm still alive, you better take good care of your own head. Jiren took the spirit stones and left with a flourish. Not even half an incense stick's worth of time later, the neighbor hastily moved out. In the future, I'll have to practice spells outside the Great Wilderness Market, Jiren decided. I'll roam the outskirts more, hunting first-order low-grade magical beasts to gain combat experience. His previous host's experience and actual combat still had some differences, only through true battle could he fully absorb and digest those experiences. He would only operate around the outskirts, adamantly not venturing into the Great Wilderness proper. He would only target first-order low-grade magical beasts, ensuring he had an overwhelming power advantage. There shouldn't be a problem. Based on his past life's experiences, Jiren went to an area north of the Great Wilderness Market. Here, weeds grew rampant, and solitary trees sparsely dotted the landscape. This place was extremely close to the Great Wilderness Market. Countless loose cultivators hunting magical beasts traversed it daily, so encountering magical beasts here was rare. Jiren moved deeper along the edge of the undergrowth, finding a secluded and uninhabited area. Fireball technique. A soccer ball-sized sphere of fire, radiating scorching heat waves, flew towards an open space in the distance. Boom. Large flames exploded, leaving behind a charred crater about 5 feet wide. The fireball technique used by ordinary cultivators was only the size of an egg. However, when raised to the Grandmaster level, it was as large as a soccer ball, and its lethality was even more terrifying. Thunderous Charge Curse. Jiren approached a giant tree that would take 2 people to encircle with their arms. He chanted silently in his heart. Moments later, white lightning danced and flickered in his right palm, accompanied by flying sparks. Break. The Thunderous Charge Curse shot towards the giant tree. The piercing sound of thunder vanished in a flash. Crack. The lightning pierced through the tree trunk, leaving a gap filled with scorch marks. Unable to bear the damage, the giant tree crashed to the ground. Let's test the effect of the Thunderous Charge Curse when applied to a magic artifact. The Black Fang sword flew out. Thunder light was imbued upon the magic sword, and countless electric sparks could be seen dancing along the blade, making it resemble a divine sword of heavenly judgment. Slash. Jiren controlled the thunder-charged Black Fang sword to strike the fallen giant tree. With a flash of lightning, the blade had already cleaved the massive tree in 2. The Black Fang sword is at least twice as fast as before, and its destructive power has also increased. Delighted, Jiren recalled the Black Fang sword, only to see faint cracks on his longest-kept magic artifact. He feared it couldn't be used many more times. The power increase was significant, but the only drawback was that it quickly wore out magic artifacts. Applying the Thunderous Charge Curse to himself was out of the question for now. He didn't even need to think about it to know it would significantly impact his body. Before completing his body refinement, he absolutely wouldn't risk it. The entry-level Thunderous Charge Curse already has such formidable destructive power. I wonder if a Grandmaster-level Thunderous Charge Curse could break through a superior-grade defense artifact? In the time that followed, Jiren repeatedly practiced the Fireball technique and the Thunderous Charge Curse. For the Fireball technique, he focused on precision. For the Thunderous Charge Curse, the priority was to shorten the casting time. Chapter 78, Breaking the Ban with One Finger for 5 consecutive days, Jiren focused primarily on improving his proficiency in the ban-breaking finger, occasionally venturing out to the Great Wilderness Market to practice the Fireball technique and the Thunderous Charge Curse. With more spiritual power in the late-stage chi refinement, he could cast spells more often, causing his proficiency levels to skyrocket. The Fireball technique was the first to reach the Grandmaster limit, and with the consumption of skill-breaking points, it advanced to Grandmaster level. A Grandmaster-level Fireball technique was even more ferocious. It created fireballs nearly the size of a wash basin, and their explosive and fiery power was terrifying. The most rapid progress was seen in the ban-breaking finger. The ban-breaking finger reached the Grandmaster limit a step later and decisively used breakthrough points to advance to Grandmaster level. The speed is far beyond imagination. It took only 10 days to raise a spell to Grandmaster level. With the ban-breaking finger mastered, he could find Yang Shengwu to remove the 5 elements sex restriction. Jia Ren entered the outer city and reverted to his original appearance. In just 10 days, Chang Ligang's momentum had grown exponentially. A Qi refinement 7th level expert had taken charge, swiftly sweeping away other gangs with thunderous force and unifying the outer city. From then on, the outer city became the dictatorial domain of Chang Ligang. All loose cultivators living in the outer city inevitably had to pay a protection fee of 1 spirit stone per month. The most detestable aspect was the proliferation of forbidden pills like the Ascension Pill and Bliss Pill, to which more and more loose cultivators fell victim. The outer city became increasingly murky and corrupt. This incited loose cultivators to report them to the law enforcement office. However, they were oblivious to the fact that Chang Ligang's rise was orchestrated by the law enforcement office itself, so all their reports vanished into thin air. Inevitably, Chang Ligang would later come knocking on the doors of those who reported them. At Chang Ligang's headquarters, Yang Shengwu sat in the chair that signified power, his brows furrowed with inseparable worry. He did his best to prevent the forbidden pills from circulating, but alas, to little effect. A sound transmission talisman flew in. Yang Shengwu raised his hand to catch it, and a voice entered his ears. "Brother Yang, I have a solution. Meet at the usual place." Yang Shengwu's worried expression vanished, his eyes brightening. He suddenly stood up and quickly left. Where does the gang leader intend to go? A short, plump, middle-aged cultivator followed closely behind him with a smile, never straying more than an inch away. This was Chu Yunlu, the deputy leader of Chang Ligang. All gang matters, big or small, had to pass through his hands. Chu Yunlu had parachuted in, secretly controlling Chang Ligang and monitoring Yang Shengwu's every move. Yang Shengwu was the nominal leader of Chang Ligang, but in reality, he was just a puppet. "What business is it of yours?" Yang Shengwu snapped. "Does Yang have to report to you where I go?" Yang Shengwu couldn't be bothered with Chu Yunlu and turned to leave. Hey, I'm just worried the gang leader might abscond with the treasures. The batch of spirit stones you've received hasn't been accounted for yet," Chu Yunlu said. "And there are problems with the magic artifacts and elixirs you brought out. For other matters, Yang Shengwu would certainly have chosen to keep the peace. But these spirit stones were meant for Jia Ren." Scram. Chu Yunlu paid no heed and followed closely. He didn't believe Yang Shengwu would dare lay a hand on him. Since the 5-element sex restriction was still active, Yang Shengwu could only endure and avoid causing further trouble. One sound transmission talisman warned Jia Ren, another alerted Yun Niang to hide. Ignoring Chu Yunlu following him, Yang Shengwu strode towards the stone house where he had initially traded for the demon spotting talisman. Someone sent by the law enforcement office? Jia Ren thought, hidden in the shadows, watching Yang Shengwu and a short, plump figure behind him. "Let me take care of your little tail first." A common mosquito flew over Chu Yunlu, and barely visible fine particles drifted down. Chu Yunlu's body stiffened, and he immediately began to frantically scratch his back and face. His exposed skin visibly reddened and swelled at an alarming rate. "What the hell is this? I'm itching to death!" he shrieked. "Who dares to poison me?" He immediately looked for his poisoner and took out a detoxification pill to consume. Most detoxification pills targeted internal poisons. The poison from the stinging hairs was a very rare external type, so the medicine was incorrect and naturally had no effect. "You pull this trick? Just wait. I'll remember this grudge." Chu Yunlu glared at Yang Shengwu, his eyes filled with shock and rage. Fearing Yang Shengwu might attack him, he quickly fled in disgrace. Brother Jia's poisoning method is truly undetectable, Yang Shengwu thought. Despite being so close, he hadn't noticed how Chu Yunlu was poisoned. His gaze towards Jia Ren was filled with a strange curiosity. "These are all the spirit stones I've recently acquired," Yang Shengwu said. "It won't be long before the law enforcement office acts against me, killing me to appease the public." The outer city had been unified too quickly, diminishing Yang Shengwu's usefulness. Chu Yunlu's monopolization of power was the best proof. Too many loose cultivators in the outer city were suffering from the effects of the Bliss Pill and Ascension Pill. The law enforcement office couldn't turn a blind eye, they had to at least make a show of taking action. Killing Yang Shengwu and a few scapegoats would demonstrate the decisiveness of their actions and pacify the public. The storage bag was handed over. Jia Ren glanced inside, seeing over 1,600 spirit stones. The amount far exceeded the value of the magic artifacts and elixirs Jia Ren had provided. "That's too much," Jia Ren exclaimed. He knew the value of the elixirs and magic artifacts he had offered. Their quality wasn't high, and their price would drop upon resale. Getting 600 to 700 spirit stones for them would be considered good. "Take good care of Yun Niang for me and leave the Great Wilderness Market," Yang Shengwu said. "Is he entrusting his last wishes to me?" Jia Ren wondered. Does he not believe I can solve the problem? For low-level loose cultivators, the Five Elements sect was an insurmountable mountain. The law enforcement office allowing Yang Shengwu to move freely demonstrated their absolute confidence. They aren't afraid of you running away. Jia Ren might have connections with the Thousand Beasts Mountain, but Thousand Beasts Mountain wasn't proficient in formations and restrictions. You'd better take care of your sister-in-law yourself. Jia Ren declared. I'll take care of the restriction for you. Jia Ren took the storage bag, set it aside, and activated his spirit eye technique, his gaze becoming focused. Under the spirit eye technique, he could see a special spiritual light within Yang Shengwu's Danshan forming the restriction. It had 108 spiritual power nodes, making it by far the most complex restriction Jia Ren had ever encountered. The spiritual power nodes were interlinked, any slight disturbance could trigger a chain reaction. Jia Ren wasn't in a hurry to act. The first principle of the ban-breaking finger was observation, to identify the main meridians and nodes of the restriction and strike its vital points for effective removal. Attacking minor spiritual power nodes would prematurely trigger the restriction, putting Yang Shengwu's life at risk. The higher the proficiency level of the ban-breaking finger, the more extinguishing spirit ghostly light could be created at once, the more spiritual power nodes could be severed, and the less likely accidents would occur during the removal of the restriction. A Grandmaster-level ban-breaking finger could effortlessly destroy ordinary restrictions, one touch, and the restriction would be annihilated. Only breaking complex restrictions was troublesome, requiring concentrated power to destroy the core spiritual power nodes. This was similar to dealing with magical beasts. The best way to eliminate one was to strike vital points like the head for a one-hit kill. Found it. His Grandmaster-level spirit eye technique allowed for meticulous observation, noting the peculiarities of each spiritual power node. A ghostly light flashed at his fingertip as his index finger touched down an inch below the left side of Yang Shengwu's Danshan. The ghostly light seeped in with his finger, then burst forth, splitting into 32 streams of extinguishing spirit ghostly light, each severing different spiritual power nodes. The main spiritual power nodes and meridians of the restriction turned gray. Its function failed, and it completely dissipated. My Danshan is no longer bound. The restriction is lifted. Yang Shengwu stammered. Afflicted by the Five Elements sex restriction, he had believed himself doomed and had even considered entrusting his last wishes. He never expected Jia Ren to solve the problem so easily, with just a single touch of his finger. Yang Shengwu's mind was reeling. The Five Elements sex restriction that had made his life a living hell. Was it really this simple? Brother Jia, you're truly amazing. Yang Shengwu exclaimed, looking astonished. Jia Ren's method of breaking the restriction was beyond anything he could have imagined. You didn't learn the ban-breaking method from the Five Elements sect, did you? Even with the restriction broken, it doesn't mean you're safe. Jia Ren advised. Take your sister-in-law and hide for a few days. It was unclear if the law enforcement office would receive news of this, but Yang Shengwu absconding with the spirit stones would surely infuriate them. Jia Ren took 700 spirit stones from the storage bag and handed it back to Yang Shengwu. Yang Shengwu nodded, not daring to stay long, and quickly left the Great Wilderness Market. Though dangerous, the lands outside the Great Wilderness Market were far preferable to falling into the hands of the Enforcement Division cultivators. Chapter 79. Not entering the Great Wilderness. The flight of the Changla Gang's leader caused the greatest shock and fury within the law enforcement office. They dispatched a large number of cultivators to search for Yang Shengwu in both the inner city and outer city, with search efforts only slightly less intense than the pursuit of the Mosquito Taoist. In less than half a day, the search ended abruptly. Jia Ren left the market and found Yang Shengwu and Yan Niang near Grand Wilderness Mountain. The two did not dare to stray far from Great Wilderness Market, for fear of encountering bizarre demons. There are 10 more evil warding talismans inside, it's always good to be prepared. Jia Ren said, taking out 3 storage bags and handing them over. Inside were the supplies they had stored. They contained 300 caddies of spirit rice, 500 caddies of ordinary rice, spirit bud elixirs, spirit revitalizing pills, and spirit enhancement pills. The spirit bud elixirs were suitable for Yun Niang. Spirit revitalizing pills restored spiritual power, and spirit enhancement pills were for late-stage chi cultivators. Your spirit stones. Yang Shengwu said, handing over a storage bag full of spirit stones. There's more than expected. Jia Ren thought. He took the corresponding portion and then returned the storage bag. Be extra careful outside the market. Jia Ren instructed. Lay low for a month or two to avoid trouble. After giving several instructions, Jia Ren hurried off. He did not rush back to the market. Instead, he found a secluded area to improve the proficiency level of his offensive spells. The proficiency level of the Thunderous Charge Curse increased more slowly and required more spiritual power. However, at the master level, It already displayed tremendous lethality. When the spiritual power in his body dropped to 1/3, he quickly took a chi recovery pill to replenish it. It was unsafe outside the Great Wilderness Market. Ensuring he had ample spiritual power was necessary in case he encountered danger. If I enter the Great Wilderness, I might encounter low-order magical beasts, Jia Ren mused. Fighting was inevitable in the future, and he still had the Talisman Cultivators Association to deal with. He couldn't just wait for enemies to come to him, he needed to proactively increase his combat experience. Jia Ren's spells were far superior to those of cultivators at the same level, and he only operated on the periphery, never venturing more than 3 miles in. If danger arose, his wind control skill would ensure his escape without worry. The most dangerous things in the Great Wilderness were not magical beasts, but bizarre demons and other evil entities. Their methods were strange and unpredictable, making them incredibly difficult to guard against. The bizarre mist maiden he had once witnessed left a deep impression on him. After the bizarre demon incident, the price of evil warding talismans fell back to 10 spirit stones each. Jia Ren had bought a total of 20 evil warding talismans in the market. Besides the 10 he gave to Yang Shengwu, he still had a stock. Before setting off, he checked the 13 evil warding talismans placed over his chest to ensure there were no issues. The spirit shield activated, enveloping him like an eggshell to guard against sneak attacks. As he moved forward, the undergrowth became denser, reaching waist height. Trees grew more abundant, and occasionally, he could see a small, trodden path. Unknown insects, startled by his footsteps, suddenly leaped out of the undergrowth. Jia Ren's nerves were taut. He kept his spirit high technique constantly active, and his metal finger technique shot out instinctively, easily piercing through them. A green snake, camouflaged almost perfectly against the tree leaves, sprang from a branch. Before it could collide with his spirit shield, a golden light had already pierced its head. Compared to his other spells, the metal finger technique was the one he handled best. The Grandmaster level metal finger technique was fast, almost instinctive, and possessed impressive lethality. Jia Ren summoned 100 exotic black mosquitoes, allowing them to scatter and act as his scouts. At this moment, he was no longer fighting alone. After issuing the command to attack at will, he didn't wait for snakes and vermin to approach. Instead, the exotic black mosquitoes would suck them dry preemptively. To quickly locate magical beasts, the best method was to use a demon spotting talisman. As a talisman maker specializing in demon spotting talismans, he was not short on them. A demon spotting talisman was activated, tracking residual demonic essence nearby and leaving a clear, visible trail before him. The master-level demon spotting talisman had a 10-mile sensing range, but it located a magical beast only 3 miles away. Lucky me. Using the exotic black mosquitoes as scouts, they moved ahead, and Jia Ren followed closely. Huff puff. Jia Ren saw a fat, sturdy wild boar with black bristles, unmistakably a first-order, low-grade magical beast, a black brisket boar. The black brisket boar ignored the exotic black mosquitoes, recognizing Jia Ren as the true threat, and charged at him. With his wind control skill deployed, his body lightened. Aided by the spirit eye technique, the black wild boar's movements became clearly visible. As the black brisket boar charged, Jia Ren sidestepped to the left, calmly dodging the impact. A white thunderous light bloomed in his right palm, piercing the boar's brain like a hot knife through butter. The thunderous light exploded, and the boar's head disintegrated into scattered pieces of flesh. The headless pig's body, carried by inertia, toppled forward, sliding more than 10 feet before stopping against a tree. Not a bad trophy. Jia Ren stowed the black boar's corpse into his storage bag, and the exotic black mosquitoes feasted on the demonic blood, sating their hunger. Time to head back. Looking up, his gaze pierced through the lush tree canopy to glance at the waning sun in the west. Satisfied, he began his return. Sob. Sob. An eerie, sobbing sound traveled from afar, tugging at one's heartstrings. The sound seemed to be that of a woman crying. What female cultivator would be crying in the Great Wilderness? He wondered. This isn't normal. The gazetteer of the Green Creek noted that bizarre demons employed inconceivable methods, advising people to avoid eye contact as much as possible to prevent soul-snatching bizarre demons. In an instant, an evil warding talisman on his chest ignited, forming a faint red halo that protected him. Could it indeed be a bizarre demon? Since he began selling bait, Jia Ren had entered the Great Wilderness twice, and each time he had encountered a bizarre demon. What kind of luck is this? Without a moment's hesitation, Jia Ren activated his wind control skill. Like a gust of wind, he was tens of feet away in the blink of an eye. The sobbing grew more distant, it didn't follow him. Perhaps Jia Ren's escape was too swift for it to catch up. I'm never entering the Great Wilderness again. Encountering a bizarre demon on his first real foray into the wilderness cast a shadow over his young spirit. Even though this encounter had passed without any real peril, Jia Ren swore to himself never to set foot in the Great Wilderness again. On the way back, the silhouette of Great Wilderness Market grew closer. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief and recall the exotic black mosquitoes. Jia Ren certainly didn't want the exotic black mosquitoes to attract the attention of the Five Elements sect. As he neared the market, he overheard voices. Hey, this person is quite lucky, having survived the war by fluke. He's stumbled upon a good opportunity. The same voice continued. I planted the scent of the lingering fragrance bug on him long ago. No matter where he flees, he can't escape my demon's palm. I'm curious to see what kind of opportunity he found, to be able to produce a magic artifact worth hundreds of spirit stones. Jia Ren habitually used his turtle breath technique to conceal his presence, hoping to avoid trouble on his way back. Approaching the market, he heard people talking. A bizarre cultivator? The voice sounded familiar. Following the sound, Jia Ren unexpectedly saw two very familiar figures. Qi Yulong and Qi Yu, dressed in the robes of inner sect disciples of the Five Elements sect, were gazing into the distance. One was at the 7th layer of Qi refinement, the other at the 8th layer of Qi refinement. They were thriving. Having fed off the blood of many loose cultivators, they weren't short of resources, so a breakthrough in cultivation level wasn't surprising. Which unfortunate soul had caught the attention of these two wolves? Jia Ren followed their gaze and saw a disguised figure fading into the distance. Relying on his sense of familiarity, he recognized the person as Wang Qian. Wang Qian has caught Qi Yulong's attention? Listening to their conversation, it seemed Qi Yulong was letting Wang Qian leave, employing a strategy of giving him more rope to catch a bigger fish. I'm very pleased that you've become less ruthless, Qi Yu remarked. He was about to say more when a sound transmission talisman flew in from afar. Hey, more spirit stones will be delivered soon. Qi Yulong chuckled. Jia Ren didn't dare linger any longer and hastened his departure. Even with the exotic black mosquitoes, he wasn't confident he could kill the Five Elements sect cultivators at the 7th and 8th layers of Qi refinement. If he won, it would be fine. But if he lost and the exotic black mosquitoes were exposed, he would face the Five Elements sect's relentless pursuit. The lesson from the mosquito Taoist's past experience was clear. Jia Ren wouldn't risk it for Wang Qian. Once the exotic black mosquitoes reach their mature stage, and with my thunderous charge curse at the Grandmaster level, killing those two would be as easy as flipping my hand, he thought. Better to let them live a while longer. Jia Ren silently moved away, unnoticed by the two. Let's help him this once. Changing his own aura, Jia Ren used a sound transmission talisman to send a warning to Wang Qian. The sound transmission talisman was intercepted, but his aura couldn't be traced back to him. He had done what he could, the rest was up to fate. Whether Wang Qian could survive would depend on his own luck. Chapter 80, Spirit Stone Vein. Wang Qian accidentally revealed his wealth and, after being tracked, learned to be much smarter. He sequestered himself for half a month to cultivate, and with the aid of elixirs, his strength improved rapidly. With the power of elixirs, he successfully broke through to the 6th layer of Qi refinement. After becoming more powerful, Wang Qian could no longer suppress his desire to go out. Without any trace of the face-changing secret technique, he could only make a slight disguise. Adorned with the wind control skill and using the featherweight talisman, he quickly left the Great Wilderness Market. Learning from his previous lesson, Wang Qian used the scouting methods he had learned to ensure no one was following him. Completely safe. Just then, a sound transmission talisman flew towards him. Who? Wang Qian was stunned. Most of the loose cultivators with whom he had good private relations had become cannon fodder in the war between the two sects, and he was unfamiliar with the new loose cultivators in the outer city, having never privately exchanged sound transmission talismans with them. Jia Ren? He subconsciously caught the sound transmission talisman and, upon hearing the warning inside, his face changed dramatically. Wang Deu, someone is tracking you, leave quickly. Tracking me? Who? I definitely didn't notice anyone following me. Wang Qian thought of Qi Yulong, whom he had met before. Could it be him? He crushed the sound transmission talisman and decisively returned to the Great Wilderness Market. Qi Yulong and Qi Yu followed far behind Wang Qian. When they saw the sound transmission talisman, they did not intercept it, wanting to avoid exposing themselves prematurely. Exposed? Who informed him with a sound transmission talisman? After receiving the sound transmission talisman, Wang Qian acted shocked and quickly returned to the Great Wilderness Market. The two brothers were not fools, they instantly understood that their tracking had been exposed. Who ruined my plans? Qi Yulong fumed. I don't want to wait any longer. If he doesn't open his mouth, I will pry it open. Qi Yulong, having waited for half a month and his patience worn thin, rushed forward. No matter what secrets Wang Qian held, or who had leaked news of their tracking, Qi Qi Yulong was confident he could soon get the answers from Wang Qian. Qi Yu, far more sinister, quietly concealed himself, merging his body with the shadows. Even if Wang Qian had help, Qi Yu could still strike from the dark. "It's indeed you!" Wang Qian exclaimed, his face turning pale as he saw Qi Yulong blocking his way before the great wilderness market, a mix of shock and anger in his heart. With the talisman activated, he quickly flew off into the distance. This was a flying charm he had purposely spent a great deal on before setting off. He never expected it would be used so soon. He didn't continue towards the great wilderness market but instead ventured deeper into the great wilderness. The great wilderness market was under the dominion of the Five Elements sect. Wouldn't going back there be like throwing myself at their mercy? A flying charm? Qi Yulong sneered. Humphrey. What use is it against my sword flight? Without a moment's hesitation, Qi Yulong pursued with his sword flight. The flying charm was fast, but compared to sword flight, it was still significantly slower. The distance between them gradually narrowed. There's no escape. A sense of despair grew in Wang Qian's heart. A single mistake meant there would be no more chance to live. I refuse to accept this. Wang Qian roared. Wind blade technique. Just as Wang Qian was about to counterattack a cultivator at the 6th layer of Qi refinement facing one at the Qi refinement 7th level, it wasn't as if he had no room to resist. A light humming sound rose, piercing into his danshan. The spiritual power that had been gathered inside his body leaked wildly, rendering him unable to harness it for casting spells any longer. The one who struck wasn't Qi Yulong. A young man, who looked similar to Qi Yulong, held a blood-stained green flying needle and looked over with a smile. With his danshan broken, all his spiritual power was gone. Qi Yulong nonchalantly approached Wang Qian, picked up his storage bag, and inspected it. Moments later, an ecstatic expression spread across his face. Brother, you couldn't possibly guess how many spirit stones are inside. Qi Yu had been indifferent, but seeing his brother's reaction, his interest was piqued. The amount must be enormous to cause such an outburst from him. 1,000? Sure enough, as his spiritual consciousness probed into the storage bag and took just one look, he was immediately dumbfounded. 1,000 spirit stones was already a considerable amount. But the most astonishing was a spirit stone the size of a stone table. More precisely, it was known as a spirit stone vein. The normal spirit stones seen by cultivators were cut from such spirit stone veins for convenient circulation, all uniformly sized, while fragmented spirit stones were the remnants from cutting these spirit stone veins. A spirit stone vein like this represented not just a few hundred spirit stones, its underlying significance was extraordinary. This represented a spirit stone vein. A spirit stone vein of this nature signified unfathomable wealth. Tell me, where did you find the spirit stone mine? Qi Yu could not remain calm, his voice trembling slightly. Wang Qian's risky venture into the great wilderness meant that the spirit stone mine had not been exhausted. Who knew how many more spirit stones were beckoning them? A small spirit stone mine could yield thousands or tens of thousands of spirit stones without issue, and as for a large spirit stone mine, all the great sects would go mad for it. No matter what, they had to pry open Wang Qian's mouth to get all the information. Wang Qian's face was ashen. His danshan was destroyed, and having fallen into the hands of such heartless and deranged villains, there was no chance of survival. Want to know the whereabouts of the spirit stone vein? Dream on. Wang Qian spat. I'd rather die than tell you. The sins you've committed, someone will make you pay the price. Smack. Qi Yulong slapped Wang Qian across the face, causing his cheek to redden and slowly swell. What sins? What are you blabbering about? Could there be someone else alive who knows? Qi Yulong heard the implication and stared intently at Wang Qian. He believed his actions were discreet. Fang Wu had been killed, so there was no chance of anything leaking out. Their interest in Wang Qian stemmed not only from his being a survivor from the outer city but also, more importantly, from the valuable magic artifacts he possessed. Wang Qian kept his mouth shut, not giving the brothers a chance to trick more words out of him. Hey, you think staying silent will help? Qi Yulong sneered. Our sect has the bewitching soul technique, and with the soul bewitching pill, we can make him talk. When the time comes, I'll make you beg to live yet be unable to die, and beg to die yet be unable to live. Cultivators are not ordinary people. Keeping silent doesn't mean they can keep a secret. The cultivation world has too many ways to make a person talk. The most infamous is the demon sect's soul-searching technique. As long as a remnant of the divine soul remains, they can uncover any hidden secrets. Wang Qian's face lost all color. Realizing he had no chance of living, he didn't want to involve others. If I die, the only one who can avenge me is Jia Ren. If you want to know about the spirit stone mine, I can tell you. Wang Qian said suddenly. I want to live. He took out a revitalizing pill from his pocket and swallowed it in front of them. With his Danshan destroyed and blood incessantly flowing from his wounds, the two brothers didn't stop him. They didn't want Wang Qian to die before getting information about the spirit stone vein. The two brothers leaned close to Wang Qian, eager to get the information firsthand. Wang Qian smiled, a mocking glint in his eyes. Assuming I'm still alive. As he spoke, he kept coughing up blood, and his body visibly rotted, turning into pus. Someone will avenge me. This isn't a revitalizing pill. This is bad. Quickly, save him. Qi Yulong's and Qi Yulu's faces changed dramatically as they each took out a resurrection pill, trying to save Wang Qian. Wang Qian can die, but not now. Alas, it was too late. Before the life-saving elixir could even reach his stomach, Wang Qian had already dissolved into pus. So ruthless. Wang Qian's actions made his stance clear. Even in death, he would absolutely not let the two brothers obtain any useful information. I am filled with such hatred. Qi Yulong roared. Use every possible means to find the spirit stone mine. The spirit stone mine must be in the great wilderness. The two brothers searched through Wang Qian's storage bag for any related information but ended up with nothing. Great Wilderness Market. Jia Ren felt his storage bag humming. Opening it, he saw the sound transmission talisman Wang Qian had given him vibrating incessantly. The secret layer of coating that covered it dissipated, revealing hidden small print. By the time you read this message, I will be dead. Taoist Jia, I am sorry for deceiving you. What I found was not a cultivator's cave, but a spirit stone vein. From now on, it belongs to you. Chapter 81, New Secret Technique. A spirit stone vein. What Wang Qian discovered wasn't a cultivator's cave but a spirit stone vein. No wonder he was targeted for purchasing magic artifacts, elixirs, and secret techniques. How could a cultivator's cave have only spirit stones? No elixirs or magic artifacts left behind by the cultivator? Jia Ren had not participated in the exploration of the cultivator's cave and hadn't thought it through carefully. Upon learning about the spirit stone vein, his mind suddenly became clear. Beyond the information, the sound transmission talisman also revealed a crucial map. Compared to an actual map, the sketchy map left by Wang Qian was quite rudimentary, showing only a path leading into the depths of the great wilderness and to the spirit stone vein. Based on the map, it would likely take some time to find the actual location. Jia Ren glanced at it several times, ensuring nothing had been missed, then deeply memorized the map. Without hesitation, he promptly destroyed the sound transmission talisman that contained the information. With numerous secret techniques among cultivators, one couldn't guarantee that leaving the talisman behind wouldn't invite trouble. The matter concerning the spirit stone vein was of no small consequence. The Five Elements sect would likely be alarmed. He must be doubly careful and cautious. I will avenge you as thanks for this favor. Wang Qian was dead, and the killers were undoubtedly the Qi family brothers. Eliminating the Qi family brothers was already part of his plan, and he didn't mind avenging Wang Qian along the way. Do the Qi family brothers know about the spirit stone vein? Since Wang Qian passed the spirit stone vein information to me, logically, he wouldn't have leaked it to his enemies. But just because Wang Qian didn't tell them doesn't mean the Qi family brothers couldn't find a way to get the information. Without an assurance of safety, the spirit stone vein also posed significant risks. I shouldn't go to the spirit stone mine for the time being. First, I need to assess the risks. Currently, Jia Ren was not lacking in spirit stones and certainly wouldn't venture into the great wilderness to take risks. I'll wait until I have sufficient strength, eliminate the threat of the Qi family brothers, and ensure that news of the spirit stone vein hasn't leaked. Only then will I consider this matter. Just as Jia Ren was about to disguise himself and enter the inner city, a sound transmission talisman flew towards him. Taoist Jia, I just finished my retreat yesterday and didn't see the talisman. I'm truly sorry. I've called in a favor, so getting you the insect control scripture should be no problem. The prohibitions of the Five Elements sect are a bit troublesome. I found a newly acquainted Enforcement Division cultivator in the inner city to help. I haven't told you yet, but I've just made a breakthrough to the Qi Refinement 7th level. Let's meet at our usual spot. Jia Ren recalled that the Five Elements sect had just wiped out Thousand Beasts Mountain and killed the Mosquito Taoist, so they might have a copy of the insect control scripture. With Yang Bingzi's help, finding a complete insect control scripture wouldn't be difficult. It's easy to accomplish things with someone on the inside. He didn't have connections, but Yang Bingzi did. Jia Ren entered the inner city in his true appearance and aura, keeping his cultivation level suppressed to the 6th layer of Qi refinement. This, of course, required payment of the 3 fragmented spirit stones entry fee. He paid the fragmented spirit stones willingly and made his way to the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion in the inner city, booking a spacious private room. Body cultivators have an enormous appetite, so the amount of food ordered had to be substantial. Jia Ren selected 16 types of spiritual food and dishes, along with spiritual wines and teas. The celebratory meal was of a much higher standard than usual, costing a full 80 spirit stones, truly an extravagant meal. Yang Bingzi did not keep Jia Ren waiting long, arriving within the time it took to drink a cup of tea. Congratulations, Yang Deu, on your breakthrough to the late-stage qi refining. Jia Ren offered his sincere congratulations, genuinely celebrating Yang Bingzi's success. Haha, the mixed refining Vajra body is quite suitable for me. I'm not lacking in body refinement materials, so my cultivation progress is astonishing. Yang Bingzi said. Even so, I was stuck at the Qi Refinement 7th level bottleneck for several days and couldn't break through. Not wanting to be left too far behind by you, Taoist Jia, I used battle merits and sect contributions to exchange for a Jade Yang pill to make the breakthrough. It was a shortcut, really. I was just about to share my good news with you when I found your sound transmission talisman. Before Yang Bingzi reached the late stage of Qi refinement, many inner sect disciples had scorned him for not deserving his status. He had felt stifled, believing a breakthrough to the Qi refinement 7th level was necessary to change that. He had exchanged his battle achievements for a Jade Yang pill and had successfully broken through to the Qi refinement 7th level just yesterday. The cultivators of the 5 elements sect are indeed pragmatists. Relations with inner sect disciples also improve once one reaches the Qi refinement 7th level. In the cultivation world, strength commands the most respect. If one's cultivation level and status didn't match, they would attract scorn. Now that Yang Bingzi had caught up, he wouldn't be bothered by others, and life within the 5 elements sect would get easier for him. I've prepared a total of 100 batches of medicinal bath ingredients for the mixed refining Vajra body. That's enough for long-term use, and you can come to me if you run out. Here are the blood-burning art and the battle demon breaking staff technique. Yang Bingzi's eyes flickered as he passed over 4 jade slips. The situation was like last time, newly created versions of the blood ignition secret method and the battle demon breaking staff technique, along with his notes on cultivation insights. Using the same method as before, deducing the actual blood ignition secret method and battle demon breaking staff technique wouldn't be difficult. After mastering them, remember to destroy the originals. Yang Bingzi trusted Jia Ren's consistent caution but still reminded him. If the jade slips leaked, both would be hunted by the 5 elements sect. Yang Bingzi's willingness to share the 5 elements sect's cultivation techniques was enough to prove his trust. Their fates were now bound together. If one suffered, both would lose. I will be careful. Jia Ren nodded and solemnly secured the 4 jade slips. The number of spells he could improve upon had increased significantly. Thousand Fantasies Face, Thunderous Charge Curse, Mixed Refining Vajra Body, Blood Ignition Technique, and Battle Demon Breaking Staff Technique. Not to mention, there were also the Sound Transmission Technique and the Seeking Demon Talisman Technique. He would later gain access to the complete Insect Control Scripture, which was likely teeming with secret techniques. He planned to focus on cultivation to enhance his strength going forward. The Enforcement Division Cultivator will deliver the Insect Control Scripture obtained from the Mosquito Taoist. You can also consult him about any issues with the restrictions. No need for help with the restrictions, the problem has been resolved. How many spirit stones for the mixed refining Vajra body's materials? You can use the body refinement materials, don't worry about the spirit stones. Jia Ren shook his head. How can that be right? I can't just take the medicinal bath ingredients for nothing. How would I have the face to ask for your help next time? Body refinement is not a small expense, and the costs increase significantly in the later stages. I can't burden your cultivation. Although I, Jia, am a loose cultivator, I don't lack spirit stones. Constantly owing favors drains goodwill eventually. To ensure a stable relationship, mutual aid is an eternal truth. With a spirit stone vein in his grasp, he wouldn't worry about spirit stones in the future. 300 spirit stones. Jia Ren took out the spirit stones and handed them over. He would pay for the insect control scripture once he received it and then give the spirit stones to Yang Bingzi. It wasn't too late. The two chatted idly, speaking their minds freely. Having advanced to the late stage Qi refining, Yang Bingzi had changed a lot. However, his attitude towards Jia Ren remained the same, and they got along well. Time ticked away. After nearly 2 hours of waiting, the Enforcement Division disciple Yang Bingzi had mentioned still hadn't arrived. Yang Bingzi tried to contact him 3 times, but with no sign of the person, his face grew increasingly displeased. Were they being stood up? Just as they were about to call for the dishes to be served, footsteps approached from outside the private room, growing nearer. Congratulations to Yang Deu on your breakthrough in cultivation. This bottle of green jade spiritual wine is a congratulatory gift. There was a knock on the door. A cultivator dressed in the robe of an inner sect disciple of the 5 elements sect entered, holding a bottle of spiritual wine in a green jade vase. The person struck Jiren as incredibly familiar. A hint of astonishment flickered in his eyes. Qiyu. How could the Enforcement Division cultivator Yang Bingzi had invited him? Chapter 82, The Truth Revealed. Jiren felt fortunate that only Qiyu had arrived. He hadn't seen Qiyu long. Otherwise, trouble would have been imminent. Qiyu had never seen Jiren and was unaware that he was one of the survivors from the outer city. Do you recognize me, Taoist friend? Qiyu, whose thoughts ran deep, swept his gaze over Jiren. He happened to notice the fleeting surprise in Jiren's eyes, prompting him to ask. Not long ago, I had the pleasure of witnessing Taoist friend's elegance at the law enforcement office. Jiren said with a smile, not wanting to arouse Qiyu's suspicion. Qiyu's attention was fully on the spirit stone vein, and he paid no mind to the loose cultivator still dressed in an inferior robe. After Wang Qian's death, the Qi brothers had turned Wang Qian's storage bag and residence upside down, not overlooking a single trace. Regrettably, they found nothing. If it were not for Yang Bingzi's repeated urging, Qiyu would still be busy searching for clues. Serve the dishes. With everyone gathered, 16 dishes, vibrant in color, aroma, and flavor, were served like flowing water. Allow me to introduce you. This is the steward of the Inner City Law Enforcement Office, Taoist Qiyu. This person is my close. I have matters to attend to, less chatter, please. Qiyu interrupted Yang Bingzi's introduction, having no interest in getting to know a loose cultivator. He was only thinking about making a quick profit and was eager to return to search for clues about the spirit stone vein. The insect control scripture could only earn small change. The spirit stone vein was the true treasure. This is the insect control scripture I obtained from the law enforcement office, originally from the hands of Mosquito Taoist. The Five Elements Sex Transmission Hall had long recorded the insect control scripture, and his acquisition from Mosquito Taoist did not count as leaking the sex teachings. 500 spirit stones. The price was 5 times what Mosquito Taoist's senior brother charged, a sky-high figure. Apart from Qiyu, Jiren had no other channels to obtain the insect control scripture. 500 spirit stones were not an issue, what he fancied was worth the expense. The fear was not in its costliness but in its unavailability. Moreover, if the Qi family brothers knew that the insect control scripture they sold was aiding an enemy and would be used against them, they would probably be furious enough to cough up blood. Someday, I will make them vomit up the full principle and interest. Many thanks, Taoist friend. Yang Bingzi smiled as he handed over 500 spirit stones, and Qiyu passed on the insect control scripture. I have other matters, so I'll take my leave first. Qiyu hadn't came to celebrate with Yang Bingzi, it was purely business. Once the transaction was complete, he turned and left. Yang Bingzi's expression wasn't pleasant. Although he was an inner sect disciple of the Five Elements sect, his status and strength still fell considerably short of Qiyu's. Taoist Yang, it's best not to get too involved with this person. Caution is advisable. Only after Qiyu departed did Jiren recount to Yang Bingzi the matter concerning the Qi family brothers. I can't believe he is such a despicable character. Yang Bingzi, who came from a humble background, knew that in the Grand Wilderness Mountain, some spirit farmers were also forcibly conscripted. Consequently, he harbored no good feelings towards those who forcibly conscripted loose cultivators. Taoist Jia, I have no relationship with him and will not associate with him in the future. It's really not easy for loose cultivators. As my status within the sect increases, it will be easier for me to help you seek the 4 arts of cultivation. Sect disciples had many ways to earn spirit stones. These included sect missions and monthly stipends. Those with extraordinary potential could also gain the favor of elders, leading to rewards. Additionally, there were investments. Yang Bingzi understood why Jiren wanted to learn cultivation techniques. Only by possessing a skill could a loose cultivator establish a foundation for living. This would allow them to continue on a cultivation path stably and long-term. The two put the matter behind them, enjoying the feast and speaking their minds freely. As the sky grew dark, Jiren found an excuse to leave. I'm not sure if I'll be ambushed by the brothers or not, it's better to leave early. Wang Qian was the best example. He thought trouble was behind him and left with confidence, yet he was ultimately dealt with by the brothers. First, Jiren employed the spirit eye technique to carefully check his body for any tracking marks. After confirming several times that no one was following him, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Returning to the outer city, he found an opportunity to transform into Zhenyi and return to his inner city residence. In the following period, his time and effort would be devoted to cultivation, focusing on elevating his cultivation level and realm. Outer City North District, in Wang Qian's residence, Qi Yulong and Qi Yulu were still busily at work. They were digging 3 feet into the ground, using all kinds of secret techniques to search, not overlooking the slightest suspicious detail. They were still hoping to find some information on the spirit stone vein. After toiling for half the day, they came up empty-handed. Thinking of the spirit stone mine that had slipped through their fingers, even though they had acquired Wang Qian's fortune, more than 1,000 spirit stones still couldn't fill the chasm of desire in their hearts. Damn it! That bastard Wang Qian! Qi Yulong was so angry that he jumped up and down, his eyes bloodshot, as if he were about to devour someone. Qi Yulu's face wasn't any better, it was as dark and gloomy as water. It seems we have no choice but to search the Great Wilderness. The Great Wilderness is too vast, it won't be easy to find it. So far, not many people had discovered the Spirit Stone mine, indicating that the location was remote and not easily found. Not to mention the place was in the Great Wilderness, relying on the efforts of just the two of them, they feared they might not find it in their lifetime. Should we change our approach for a breakthrough? Qi Yu mused. The information Wang Qian revealed before his death indicated he knew that we two are the masterminds behind the underground exchange. Who else could possibly know this? Most of those in the know were Five Elements sect cultivators who had cooperated with them. It was impossible that Wang Qian could have gotten the information from their mouths. Unless someone knew about it through connections and leaked it to him. Qi Yulong thought of the loose cultivator he had met not long ago, whose eyes were very suspicious. He took out a brush and began to draw on a piece of white paper. Before long, a sketch that bore a 5/10 resemblance to Jia Ren had been outlined. "Brother, do you recognize this person?" Qi Yulong asked. Qi Yu, with impatience written on his face, turned his head and glanced at the drawing. He was immediately stunned, taking the sketch for a closer look. "Of course, I recognize him. He's Jia Ren, the antique restorer I mentioned to you. This guy must have starved to death." He figured that Qi Yulong had drawn him for a specific reason. This proved his younger brother had seen Jia Ren. "Jia Ren is still alive? Where did you see him?" Qi Yulong had a moment of clarity, his thoughts racing as something clicked. The storage bag they had failed to find. It was now clear that Jia Ren must have obtained it. Jia Ren must be Feng Wu's accomplice. He exclaimed. Such a good method. So crafty. Feng Wu gave the storage bag to Jia Ren, no wonder we couldn't find the storage bag in the entire Outer City North District. With this development, it all made sense. Jia Ren knew the brothers were the masterminds behind the exchange and wouldn't show himself at the underground market anymore. The truth that Wang Qian knew must also have been leaked by Jia Ren. The two had a deep personal relationship, perhaps Jia Ren was even one of the people who discovered the Spirit Stone mine. "Brother, if we find this man, there's a very good chance we'll find the Spirit Stone vein." Qi Yu quickly shared his speculation. "I've just been to Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, and he's quite close with Yang Bingzi. It's likely that the insect control scripture was sought for his sake too. Yang Bingzi was primarily cultivating the mixed refining Vajra body and had never shown interest in insects. To reach the 6th layer of Qi refinement from the 4th layer of Qi refinement in such a short time frame, it must be him. As long as we can find Jia Ren, we can get information about the Spirit Stone vein from him." The fog had lifted, and their minds became clear. Kill Jia Ren, retrieve the storage bag, and take possession of the Spirit Stone mine. Qi Yulong was never a forgiving person, he had long been displeased with Jia Ren and wouldn't mind killing him on the spot. Jia Ren was too good at hiding, never showing his tail, which hadn't given Qi Yulong a chance to act. Now, the new grudge joined the old, and they would be settled together. Capturing him will be too easy. Qi Yu declared. With the insect control scripture in hand, we can arrest him as a spy from Thousand Beasts Mountain without fail. The brothers, having discovered the truth, rushed to the private dining room in Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, but alas, it was too late, everyone was gone. Chapter 83, Mixed Refining Vajra body. Jia Ren cultivated for a whole night and then headed to the inner city market to browse through the stalls selling monster beast meat. Every few days, he would routinely seek out the meat vendors, offering a high price for spirit turtle meat. Unfortunately, great desolate turtle demons were too rare, and he had acquired none so far. Cultivation with elixirs was not slow, but it still lagged far behind the turtle spirit ointment. Moreover, the ointment had the miraculous effect of increasing lifespan. I wonder if the Ming family still has any spirit turtles. I will ask Yang Bingzi about it later. Jia Ren walked towards the Pill Cauldron Pavilion, intending to purchase a batch of elixirs for his cultivation. Having depleted his stock of spirit bud elixirs and major restoration elixirs, it was time to replenish them with new elixirs. An enthusiastic shop assistant greeted the late-stage Qi refining cultivator, promoting the best-selling elixirs. There are two kinds of elixirs suitable for consumption in the late stage of Qi refinement. One is the Spirit Enhancement Pill. It is the most broadly applicable, favored by loose cultivators, and priced at 8 spirit stones each. The other is the 5 Elements Spirit Pill. This elixir is bestowed upon inner sect disciples by the Five Elements sect and rarely makes its way outside. It is not cheap, costing 15 spirit stones each. Jia Ren was no stranger to the spirit enhancement pill, having recently purchased some for Yang Shengwu. The price was as usual. He had, however, learned about the Five Elements spirit pill for the first time. An elixir from the Five Elements sect? For an elixir also used in the late stage of qi refinement, it was priced much higher. Fellow Taoist, you may not know this, but sects and families rarely release truly high-quality elixirs to the public. Most of the ones loose cultivators can buy are of average quality. The Five Elements spirit pill consumed by sect disciples is a superior product. Inner sect disciples can only obtain one each month. If fellow Taoist doesn't buy now, you won't be able to get them in a few days, even if you want to. Jia Ren first inspected the spirit enhancement pill to confirm its quality. Then he picked up a Five Elements spirit pill and smelled it, comparing its medicinal fragrance. The difference was indeed noticeable. The aroma was richer, indicating better quality. After hesitating for a moment, Jia Ren decided to buy 10 to test their efficacy. Having spent 230 spirit stones, Jia Ren returned to his residence with the elixirs and resumed his steady cultivation. After consuming a spirit enhancement pill, its effect was far from comparable to the Great Origin pill or Spirit Bud elixir. Each spirit enhancement pill only added 7 points to his cultivation progress. The effect was average, merely ordinary. Jia Ren took out a Five Elements spirit pill, which he had bought for 15 spirit stones. The pill was multicolored and quite pleasing to the eye. After smelling its rich fragrance and confirming there were no issues, he swallowed it. The medicinal power burst forth instantly. It was far denser than that of the spirit enhancement pill, though not violent. He activated his turtle spirit technique, gradually transforming the potency into spiritual power. After a short while, Jia Ren opened his eyes, his joy unconcealable. The medicinal effect is good. One Five Elements spirit pill increased my cultivation progress by 15 points, far stronger than the spirit enhancement pill. Its cost effectiveness was also high. It was truly worthy of being an elixir from the Five Elements sect. No wonder sect disciples' rate of strength improvement far surpassed that of loose cultivators. Even though both consumed elixirs incessantly, sect disciples' cultivation speed was much faster. This won't do, I must buy more. Without hesitation, Jia Ren rushed back to the Pill Cauldron Pavilion. Fellow Taoist, you've returned so soon. The Five Elements spirit pill's effect must have exceeded your expectations. The shop assistant observed. Unfortunately, you're a step too late. A few other fellow Taoists just bought most of them. There are only 3 left. Only 3? I'll take them all. Jia Ren didn't mind and bought all of them. When will there be more Five Elements spirit pills? Having experienced the effects of the Five Elements spirit pill, the spirit enhancement pill now seemed somewhat redundant. The Five Elements spirit pill seldom makes its way outside. The majority are. Well, they are pills that Five Elements sect alchemists discreetly sell through the Pill Cauldron Pavilion. They appear in irregular quantities, with no set pattern. This was also how the vast majority of loose cultivators reacted after trying the Five Elements spirit pill, and the shop assistant was long accustomed to this. What a pity. No wonder loose cultivators yearned for a sect. When they wished to purchase elixirs like the Five Elements spirit pill, they had to rely on luck. In contrast, it was not difficult for Five Elements sect cultivators to acquire them. Jia Ren couldn't buy the Jade Yang pill, used for breaking through to the Qi refinement 7th level, at the Pill Cauldron Pavilion or any other elixir vendor. He could only wait for auctions. Although a sect required sect contributions in exchange, at least there was a channel for acquisition. Forget about joining a sect, I don't want to be restricted by others. The Five Elements spirit pill is certainly good. However, if I could get a large amount of turtle spirit ointment, it would be no less effective. Most importantly, its cost is far cheaper than the Five Elements spirit pill. Elixirs shouldn't be taken continuously. Jia Ren, holding the medicinal bath ingredients given by Yang Bingzi, began to learn the mixed refining Vajra body. He had possessed the body refining techniques for some time, but his inability to gather the medicinal bath ingredients had prevented him from starting. With everything prepared, he decisively began his body refinement. The medicinal bath ingredients weren't elixirs, they were similar to turtle spirit ointment and simple to prepare. First, he boiled the carefully selected herbs and spiritual medicines for 2 full hours, until their medicinal properties fused. He poured the concoction into a wooden tub filled with hot water, stripped off his clothes, and sat cross-legged in the medicinal bath. Following the method gate of the mixed refining Vajra body, he could clearly feel strands of medicinal power seeping through his skin and into his body. This power flowed into his skin and bones, subtly altering his physique. His whole body itched intolerably, as if thousands of tiny insects were crawling on his skin, making it difficult to concentrate. After several attempts, Jia Ren finally entered a meditative state and absorbed the medicinal power according to the mixed refining Vajra body's method gate. An hour later, the water in the wooden tub had turned turbid, its medicinal power depleted. He felt as if he had just received a full body massage. His body felt lighter. He clenched his fists and could clearly feel the increase in his physical strength. For a beginner, the improvement was most distinct. Mastering the entry level of the mixed refining Vajra body had its own signs, the formation of the corresponding Vajra body. As he operated the mixed refining Vajra body's method gate, a barely visible golden light suffused his body, eventually converging into a fist-sized golden spot over his heart. Once the golden color fully permeated his body, the indestructible Vajra body would be considered at its minor accomplishment stage. At this stage, he would be capable of resisting magic artifacts and spells, and engaging in close-quarter combat with first-order, inferior-grade magical beasts. At major accomplishment, the body would turn crimson gold and could withstand medium-grade magic tools. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that lifting elephants with one hand would be effortless. At perfection, the body would turn dark gold, and one could briefly withstand high-grade magic artifacts, possessing indefatigable vitality and invincibility in same-tier close-quarter combat.